Go live? Maybe? Possibly? Don't want to be under... No, I feel like I could be under Warhammer. I think that's fair. It's Warhammer related. I'm gonna be playing the tabletop game, but I don't know. Go ahead, sue me. You know, God, I wish I had changed the name. Hold on, I'm gonna change the Twitch name a little bit because Twitch is a more forgiving amount of things. Grab Twitch is a more forgiving amount of. Oh God, why can I hear myself? That's why. Okay, shush, shush, silence, man. Okay, close that. Close that. Close all that bullshit. Open this to here. There we go. Hello, everyone. Get comfy. I'm going to get on some music here in a second. Today's stream is going to be super fucking interesting to me. It may not be interesting to you, but I don't care. I don't care if you find it interesting. Hello, because I do. All right, close all this shit. Oh wait, no, open that back up. Fuck. Hold on, I'm being bad at my job here. That was today. Yes. Okay. So rename this file. Boom. And then I need to do a share. Anyone with the link, copy link, hit done, close that, open Discord, go to Mr. Skeleton, say part 2 is here. Boop. Send him that file. And then I need to put this here. I need to put Twitch chat up here in the corner so I can see what the hell y'all are saying. And then I'm going to open YouTube chat, and I'm going to... Apparently YouTube registers bok bok as a slur. Well, YouTube hates Saurus. YouTube just hates Saurus. YouTube clearly agrees with Karl Franz. I hate Saurus. I hate that they say bok bok. I hate their stupid clubs. I hate how fucking unkillable they are. I don't have that meme memorized, but it is a good meme. All right. So, today we are going to be focusing on the old world map, which got some huge changes. But first we're going to turn on some background music. What do I want to kind of listen to in the background? Goddess, yes, Shadow Queen, King. I don't know what you're smoking over there, but please be sure to pass them around to the rest of chat. So much of the music I listen to is going to get copyright claimed. I have to think of something that's like generic enough that it's not going to cause issues. Let's do... something... I'm looking for something a little more on the chill side. Why don't we throw on some Breath of the Wild in the background? That'll work. Let's go past. Ooh. That'll work fine. We can just have that hovering in the background here. Okay. Hello. Welcome. So today we're going to be looking at this, with me also included. Hello, there I am. So I was not expecting them to release this map for at least a little longer. Just because GW has like accidentally released it the other day and then was like, oh shit, and like covered it all back up. But hey, good news, they decided to put it back up. So we're going to be going over all of this. We're going to be going over the entire map because we want to check for any and all changes that we can find. But does my shirt say work? It says work harder. Yeah, it says work harder, which is definitely not my life motto. But it is a very comfortable shirt, which is more important to me. It is like super comfy, so that is all I care about. I don't really care what it says.
Is it time to draw over a beautifully intricate fantasy map?
Yes.
You love to see it.
Yes. At some point, we'll need to chat with, like, have Andy on to chat about the map, because Andy has a very interesting relationship with this map. Because there's a lot about it Andy doesn't like. But that's because, A, Andy's actually a cartographer who's, like, well-trained, and, like, knows what he's doing, and B, has a much better understanding of the geology and geography of Warhammer Fantasy, and a lot of the problems that this map introduces, and there's just a lot of other stuff. So, we've got a lot of really cool things to start with, and just to point out how much shit we're looking at today, we're going to be looking at detailed Norska, detailed Chaos Waste. Kislev got some updates. We also have the entirety of the Southern Realms, including Talea and Istalia. And there may have also been, it looks like there may also have been some updates down in Nehekara based on the way Games Workshop was kind of like showcasing the map. And we can actually interact with the dwarf symbols. Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the entire map. So, and it's such a tiny part of the old world, too. Of the Warhammer world. Obviously, it's the entirety of the old world, but, like, God, it's so little.
Another
all right.
wretched foul lizard thing joins the red host.
Without further ado,
Cursed
get on your thinking caps. Get on your lore caps. And let's get started. I think the best way to do this is, I think we'll start up in the very top left of the map, and we're just gonna work our way from left to right, and then we'll move down a little bit and go right to left, and then we'll move down a little bit and we'll go left to right, etc, etc, etc. So get your butts ready, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going into this. Roshulik, I don't know. Do I look like Andy? I don't know Andy's life story. Go ask him. Which, by the way, this Wednesday stream. Ooh, y'all are not ready. Y'all are not ready for the stream we're gonna do this Wednesday. This Wednesday, we're gonna be doing something wild. Y'all are not ready. Which, I don't know, maybe I'll reveal that in a little bit. I don't know, maybe if we get like 10 YouTube memberships or something, I'll reveal it. But this Wednesday is gonna be pretty hot. Nudie mags of all the different races. No, I wish I had thought of that, but no. Hawk, thank you very much for the 51 months. I hope you're enjoying your well, you've reached over 50 months. We'll have to send you a collectible grandpa chair that you can enjoy. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start in the Eastern Chaos Waste, where one of the things that's really interesting about the Chaos Waste is, of course, getting this level of detail of the lands literally shattering, being ripped apart, being pulled into the realm of chaos itself. So we see that the realm of chaos is quite literally devouring entire portions of the Warhammer Fantasy world, where it's devoured so much of the Northern Wastes. And the thing with the realm of chaos is that the realm of chaos, it breeds. It's like a tide. So when the forces of chaos rise up, when they grow more powerful, the realm of chaos pushes outward. It extends. It like tendrils reaching out and devouring everything before it. But then when chaos is defeated and it's pushed back, when an Everchosen is slain, it retracts and it pulls back and gives, it almost vomits back up the land that it took, but that land is irrevocably changed. It's irrevocably corrupted. So one of the most horrifying things here is that these places aren't gone forever. They might come back, but they'll be changed. And this is how we get a lot of places in the Chaos Waste that are not exactly what you might expect. They behave under very strange laws. So let's get into it. Starting up here, so for the record, we are starting north of Albion. So this is not as far east as Ulthuan. It's not as far east at, not even close to being as far east as Nagaroth. This is just north of Albion is where we're starting. And we're going to go from there. So here we have the Heavenward Hills, which pretty reasonable name up against the Septic Isles. So here we would expect to see a lot of Nurgle corruption up on the Septic Isles, probably a land of a lot of decay and rot. And then we've got the Heavenward Hills, which of course are going to be foothills and mountains that lead up into the Chaos Waste itself. Likely a journey where we would have seen like Sigvald walk up to. Isn't this west? Yes, I'm stupid. This is west. So we're starting in the northwest, just north of Albion. Leave me alone. We're going east, but we're starting west. We have the Shifting Monolith, which is interactable. So the Shifting Monolith. So this is a Chaos Monolith. The monoliths of Chaos have a notable history, which is that when great champions of Chaos usually die, or they ascend, or they achieve some great victory, oftentimes there will be a monolith that marks their place, marks where this event happened. And when you see a monolith, they are always dedicated to usually an individual, though it might not be necessarily clear. And it'll either tell their saga, it'll tell some notable epic about them, it'll talk about how they died, if they died, it'll talk about how they ascended if they did, or anything, everything along those lines. So we have the Shifting Monolith. In a land of peculiar geography and odd occurrences, the Shifting Monolith is an especially unnatural feature, for it disappears and reappears seemingly at random and never in the same place. So of course, the first thing we start with checking out on the map is the one thing that would never be in the same place twice on the map. So there you have the Shifting Monolith, which is a monolith dedicated to someone, but it moves around, which is spooky. Ricardo asks, Lord Master Sotek, so oh, you know what? We should include y'all in today's stream. There you go. Hi, chat. There you are. You know what? Can I give y'all like a background? Or like, can I give y'all some kind of background? Let me see. I bet I can if I'm smart. What if I do this? That do anything? That did nothing. Okay. What if we do... Aha! There you are. There we go. Now I can see your lovely little names and stuff. It's still a little transparent, but it's better than it was. At some point I'll get like a custom chat overlay, but for right now that'll do. All right. So anyway, Ricardo asks, so reality reasserts itself whenever there's a major defeat of chaos on a symbolic sense, and they remain corrupted due to chaos's symbolic taint on the warp even when defeated. So it depends. It's not always a guarantee, but generally speaking, yes. Chaos, it expands, it grows, it devours more and more in the world. But then when chaos is defeated, the winds of magic are stifled, the chaos gods are cast back, the Slann strengthen the great warding. There's a lot of different things that happen as the world reacts to a chaos force being defeated. And the reality in a way reasserts itself as chaos loses its grip. And as reality reasserts itself, the warp is pushed back. But the lands that are spat out to return to where they are these lands that were pulled into the realm of chaos and were then subject to the insanity of laws that have the realm of chaos, are then spat back out into reality, where the laws of reality reassert themselves on that space. So this is where you can have a scenario where, so like a good example would be down here, the plane of glass, which is said to quite literally be a plane made of glass. Like, it has this glass-like texture, and it's really sharp, and it's very dangerous to cross. This is a land that was devoured, and it started to change and alter and be go through these transformations that resulted in this glass forming where there should have been earth and rock instead. But when chaos spit it back out, as the realm of chaos was forced back, it solidified into a material that reality understands. It became subject to the laws and rules of reality, which results in there being a plane of glass where there may have been something far more constant, far more change oriented than we see. Anyway, so we also have the Twisted Towers, which is non-interactable. But Twisted Towers are literally at the end of this twisting path, probably Zinchian in nature. We have the Blasted Wastes. Of course, the Chaos Wastes, and instead of working our way south, let's work our way east. So we have the Silver Tower of Sorcerers. Now, the Silver Tower of Sorcerers has a very, very interesting history, as the Silver Tower of Sorcerers is said to be the home and the main fort of Egrim von Horseman and the Cabal, which the Cabal, of course, are those from the colleges of magic that fell to Tzeentch alongside Egrim. They joined sides with him, and after he was exposed in the colleges of magic, he fled and ended up at the very far north, where he eventually set up a base of operations at the Silver Tower of Sorcerers. Obviously, though, in the timeline we're currently in, it's unlikely that Egrim von Horseman is alive yet. He's probably hasn't been born. He might have been, because Chaos characters can live for a really long time. But more than likely, he has not been born yet. So the Silver Tower of Sorcerers being here is kind of interesting, because this would imply that Egrim von Horseman discovered it, or took it from previous owners that it might have had. Obviously, it's a very Tzeentchian coded thing between the silver coloring and the sorcerers. But it could also be that because of the way chaos works, time is very... so it's quite possible that Egrim von Horseman does found and build this tower. And the tower knows that. So the tower itself may have been built far longer than Egrim has been alive, even though Egrim is the one that actually built the tower. Because chaos. We also have the Forest of Knives down here, which sounds like a super duper fun place. I would imagine a chaos corrupted forest where the trees quite literally have bladed limbs, and likely can move, and likely are hungry and thirsty. But it is very, very cool to see forests. One of the things that me and Andy have talked about a lot when it comes to the Chaos Wastes is a lot of people wonder how people could live in the Chaos Wastes. Like, how do you have these giant, titanic, roving bands of Chaos Warriors and Chaos Tribes in the Chaos Wastes if it's just like a horrible wasteland? And the answer is it isn't. A lot of the Chaos Wastes are survivable. There are forests, there are plains, there are grasslands, there are mountains and lagoons and swamps and jungles and all kinds of different terrain. But it's hellish, and the laws there do not obey reality in a really, really good sense. So they have a lot of things they need to survive up in those lands, but it's incredibly harsh and demanding, and only the strong and only the faithful to the chaos powers can truly survive. Here we have the Shard Lands being a set of mountains. No, not a lot of information there, but you can imagine it's probably, I would guess that instead of being regular mountains of rock, it could very well be mountains of glass or crystal. Mountains made of strange shard-like materials, looking almost like a giant mirror or some giant gem shattered and impacted the earth all around and made this mountain range, which would be kind of a cool thing. We have the Eternal Lagoons, which the Eternal Lagoons are an area that has kind of popped up in a couple of like very minor Nurgle stories, but very Nurgle encoded, as Nurgle is very much a sense of entropy, a sense of stagnation, something that carries on in an almost eternal cycle without end. So Eternal Lagoons, very Nurgle coded. We have the Crystal Spires, which the Crystal Spires, as you can see here, are a little highlighted blue, and they're interactable. So if I click on them, we get the Crystal Spires, an otherworldly formation of crystal that stretches towards the sky. These vibrant shards of purple, teal, and green are frequented by the tribes of the Eagle, whose sorcerers use splinters from the mighty structures to amplify their magical prowess. So, Crystal Spires are most likely fragments that have branched out of or broken off from the Crystal Labyrinth of Tzeentch, where you have these very vibrant Tzeentchian colored spires, where the whole thing... Yeah, I made chat a pure black block for today, so y'all could actually see yourselves. Uber Trolls, I have a question. Is Marcus Kruber canonically a Grail Knight? Yes, and... Oh, you can't reach... Right, hold on. Ooh, there you go. How about that? Actually, here, I'll put you above my head. There you go. That's a little better. Because the information is going to show up on the left side of the screen. But we know the tribe of the Eagle are a Tzeentchian tribe. They are the tribes of follow Tzeentch, or Takar, as they might know him, or Thrar, or a myriad of other names. But one of the things with the tribes of Chaos is that they often worship Chaos in a totemic sense, so as totemic animals. So rather than knowing them by a specific name, they often refer to them or worship them in the form of animalistic entities. So you have the eagle for Tzeentch, the serpent for Slaanesh, the crow often is Nurgle, and then you have the hound for Khorne. Though different tribes might have different names, or different animals even, depending on the situation. But here we definitely have a followers of Tzeentch will make the great journey to the Crystal Spires in order to claim splinters from these spires, which greatly augments their sorcery. One of the things that's kind of interesting about that is that you note the Crystal Spires are on this map sort of detailed to be a separate island, to be this place that you'd look at and go, oh, I guess people can't get to it because the Realm of Chaos is like separated it. But no, it is possible to journey to this space. But the question would be, what would that journey look like? And the answer is probably really fucking wild. We then have the Tower of Torment, which is not interactable, but has appeared on older maps as well. Very likely a big structure dedicated to probably some sort of Slaaneshi champion, I would guess. Because a lot of these buildings, like the Silver Tower of Sorcerers, the Tower of Torment and stuff, are these terrifying, great, mighty chaos fortresses that could have been built by demons. They might have been built by nobody knows. Hard to say. Oh, right. I was going to answer that question and I got distracted. Is Kruber canonically a Grail Knight? It depends. Yes and no. So, Vermintide, all of the careers are canonical, and yet also none of them are canonical. And the way they explain it is that basically with the onset of the end times, because the Uberstrike 4 get close to Be'lakor, and they actually go into the Realm of Chaos itself, or the Chaos Waste, in order to pursue those like scrolls of the gods in the Chaos Waste mechanic system. Because they're going in there and they're getting so close to Be'lakor, one of Be'lakor's kind of core powers in fantasy is that he has the ability to shatter time and manifest multiple realities at once, which gets really weird really fast. But there's several stories that you can find on the Vermintide website, because they have a lore section on the website that just shows you like what's going on with them, and it also will often drop hints about like future maps and stuff. And one of the things you learn about is that Kruber is, or not Kruber, Loner is vaguely aware of the fact that sometimes he feels like he's dreaming and he sees the characters as like different versions of themselves. So he sees Barden as a slayer and stuff like that. That being said, the main Vermintide storyline follows the main characters as their fourth careers. So the most canon main focus of the Vermintide 2 storyline is the fourth career line. So Barden is a outcast engineer, is a engineer, renegade engineer, or whatever, outcast engineer, whatever he is. Kruber is a Grail Knight. Carillion is a Sister of the Thorn. Though weirdly, she seems to be a Sister of the Thorn under like she's a bit of a weird Sister of the Thorn because she doesn't serve Ariel, she serves a different power. The Tower of Torment is clickable. Oh, the text isn't, but the tower itself is. Hell yeah. Okay, wait, could I click the Tower of Silver Tower? No. Okay, but the Tower of Torment is clickable. Tower of Torment. Those who have journeyed this as far north as the Tower of Torment and returned to tell their tales report that a near constant wailing of tortured souls echoes from the depths of the basalt structure. So, yeah, a big basalt structure that contains who knows how many souls that lie in the depths, constantly being tortured for all eternity. Woohoo! We also have the ossified hills over here. You got the Shardlands further here. So it's interesting to see the Shardlands is bigger than just this little area of mountains. It's a significantly larger space all over the world, which is fascinating. Yeah, see, it's over here as well. Oh, cool. We have a clickable Shardlands here. Where the world ends and the realm of chaos begins, the land becomes broken and sundered. Great tracts of land eternally crack and splinter as the laws of nature are broken anew in each passing moment, and the domain of the ruinous powers greedily consumes the world of legend. Hell yeah. So we see the Shardlands are quite literally discussed as the lands that are being broken up into shards and devoured by the realm of chaos. Which, like, goddamn, dude. The planet itself just being slowly eaten over the course of 10,000 years. Let's see. So, continuing along kind of this upper thing, we've got Grimnir's Gate. So, this is a super significant location. Grimnir's Gate, obviously, is, according to some legends, the place where Grimnir has ventured to in order to seal shut the Northern Chaos Gate. Hey, it's Jigalag! What are you doing here? Here, I'm gonna make you blue so I can see you. Boom. Everyone say hi to Jig. So we have Grimnir's Gate. Grimnir's Gate is a really big fucking deal. So this is where the ancestor god Grimnir, the Slayer god, a god of vengeance and doom, he marches up what we know, depending on some sources. Some say that Grimnir marched the Road of Skulls, which I would say vaguely checks out. So he marches up the Road of Skulls, and he goes all the way up from the ancient Dawi Empire. So he goes from somewhere in the World's Edge Mountains, very possibly Karasakarak itself, maybe even Karak Zorn, and he fights the demons of chaos and the hordes of chaos, not just the demons, but all of their servants. He fights he takes a small group with him up the northern mountains. I want to say until he reaches either Karak Doom or he reaches, it might be, Karak Vlag, but he reaches what at that time was considered the edge of the Dwarven Empire, which may have even been further south as well. The Dwarf Empire had not reached nearly so far north yet, but he arrives somewhere in this ballpark-ish, and at this point, he turns to his son, Morgrim, and Grimnir gives him one of his axes. So he tells his son that he cannot come with him, because where he's going is doom. And he gives Morgrim one of his axes, and then taking only one axe, Grimnir marches all the way north, and continues heading up the World's Edge Mountains. And you can see if we follow this path up the World's Edge Mountains, he eventually arrives at Grimnir's Gate, where he goes into a gateway and he faces off against the gods of chaos and the endless legions of demons, and fights them to a standstill. Enough so that supposedly this causes the reinforcements that the demons would have sent to the great battle at the Eye of the Vortex, which is the battle that was going on in the center of Ulthuan, get stymied because they can't get past Grimnir. So there was this third Chaos Gate, and Grimnir shuts it. Now, there are further notes about these stories that talk about what other places might interact with Grimnir's Gate, but this shows you how far north he got and also how much ass he kicked, and to this day, he is still fighting. To this day, Grimnir is still fighting in the realm of chaos, holding off countless billions of demons by himself with only one axe. He doesn't even have both his axes. He has one axe. But Grimnir's axe is said to be so terrifying that demons don't like to get near him, because if you're killed by Grimnir's axe within the realm of chaos, it is apparently permadeath, or about as close to it as one can come. So Grimnir is out there perma-killing demons without pausing. So suck on that, Primarchs. Get on his level. Get on his level. All right, let's continue our journey to the east along the most northern edge of the map, and we see there's really nothing else. So let's go down a bit, and let's start heading back west. So here, we are north of... We're not to Cathay yet, but we are north of the Mountains of Morn, their most eastern edge. We're north of Blizzard Peak, where there's a really nasty frost dragon. And here you can see the Challenge Stone. So we have the Challenge Stone here, which is where the ogres of the Ogre Kingdoms and the Warriors of Chaos have been fighting over this stone for thousands of years. It's actually something where they trade off control, and the goal is to hold it for as long as possible. That doesn't make sense, because if he kills billions of demons permanently, there has to be an end to them. That's not how demons work. Demons, you can kill billions, and there will be billions more. There is no end to demons. But a lot of what Grimnir does, it is noted that a lot of demons avoid him, and try and go around him, or try and deal with him from a distance. Grimnir has been fighting endlessly. But you also have to remember that time doesn't work in a linear fashion within the realm of chaos. So even though you perma-kill a demon, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're never going to see that demon again, because that demon could still come at you in the future, even though you've killed it in the past, because it exists in the future and it exists in the deep past, but it doesn't exist in the present in which you struck it down. Demons are fucking weird. They don't, especially because Grimnir is in the realm of chaos itself. But also, welcome to Games Workshop, where there's no end to everyone. If you wanted to get really technical about it, most of the like dwarves and elves should be dead, but Warhammer will always kind of like be like, there's as many as there needs to be. They just like to throw around big numbers. But anyway, so we also have a number of tribes here. So we have the Nation of the Hobgoblins. This is very, very exciting. The Hobgoblins are probably the thing I'm the most excited about for, well, not the most, but like close to being the most excited about with the old world, which is that the Hobgoblins are the fact that they have a actual nation. There is a unified nation of the Hobgoblins, and you can see how dangerous they are because all of this space has no chaos. The Hobgoblin Khanate is enough of a threat that despite being borderline to the Chaos Wastes, so this is the very northern reaches of the Eastern Steppes, they control the vast majority of the Eastern Steppes. And the Hobgoblin Khanate is one of the only empires, actually the only empire, that is this far north, and they thrive. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. And if you're like, wow, those guys sound really fucking cool, go watch Andy and I's Lordbeard stream on the Hobgoblin Khanate. Actually, Hawk or some of the mods, if y'all could post the link for that in the chat, I'd appreciate it. We also have a couple of the really famous tribes. So we have the Yusak tribe, which is a notable Chaos tribe. What do they ride? Mostly giant wolves. But there's also mentions of a creature called a hobhound, which hobhounds, think of the wargs from Lord of the Rings. So they're like really big, more like hyena, like short-nosed wolves. But they're they're really big. So they have giant wolves and they have hobhounds, which are the only things we really know about. There might be more, but we don't know. So we have the Yusak tribe. We have then the Cool, which of course the Cool is probably the most famous Chaos tribe out there is, besides the Norskins, because the Cool are said to be the most powerful. So here we have the Cool tribes, merciless and brutal raiders. The Cool controlled vast swaths of the land across the eastern steppes and the Chaos wastes above the World's Edge mountains, launching savage raids on both their close and distant neighbors. So we see here that the Cool's main antagonist is going to be the nation of the Hobgoblins. But the Cool are said to be the tribe that produce the most Chaos Warriors. So when you're dealing with not Marauders, but like actual Chaos Warriors, most of them are of the Cool. And it's mainly because they're so far north that they're just a pain in the ass. I'm confused. Did Grimnir go north to the Middle Mountains or both? Both, technically. The Middle Mountain storyline... So, Grimnir's Gate is said to be in several locations simultaneously, and it could be it could be that there's a logical explanation that I could really dive into for a bit. Like the biggest thing that I would suggest is that Chaos has attempted to open multiple portals throughout the history of the world, and the dwarves have successfully sealed several of these portals by inscribing runic protection seals around these Chaos gates. And what happens when they do this is they functionally connect these gates to Grimnir's gate. So it's a pathway that you have Grimnir acting as a dam, the realm of Chaos and all the demons up here. But if they could just get past Grimnir, there's a gate behind Grimnir that if you enter it could theoretically branch out into multiple places simultaneously. So it could be both up here in the north at Grimnir's gate. It could also be within the deep below the Middle Mountains, and it could also be the floating island that shows up in the end times in the Gotrek and Felix Slayer book. And you may say, well, that seems a little over the top and complicated. And I would say, yeah, welcome to Warhammer, where I have to try and make shit work because authors don't check each other's work. Because whoever put Grimnir's Gate here probably doesn't know that the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay authors put Grimnir's Gate below the Middle Mountains, and both of those guys don't know that the Black Library series puts Grimnir's Gate in a floating island continent that's flying far higher above the Empire, up in the sky beyond the clouds, fucking Tears of the Kingdom style. So, welcome to my job. Alright, so, moving on to the Cool tribe, we have the Hissing Pits and the Marcher Fortress. So the Marcher Fortress is a super duper 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 famous location. The Marcher Fortress is incredibly famous. So we say here, the Marcher Fortress. This foul bastion towers high over the waste, piercing the clouds and smoke with its slender spires. Its walls are hewn from blackened stone, set into place with mortar made from crushed bones and the blood of beguiled revelers. So the Marcher Fortress is said to be one of the greatest fortifications of Slaanesh. It is Slaanesh's most famous and notable defensive structures that defends not only the realm of Slaanesh, but acts as a marching point out from from his realm. And actually, if you own a copy, but I'll show you the page. If you own a copy of the Liber Chaotica, which is an excellent book that I highly recommend reading at some point, whether you're a fantasy fan or a 40k fan, because the author of this book actually tried to tie the fantasy and 40k universes together. Whether or not he succeeded is a matter of opinion. But the Marcher Fortress is a specific area that, if memory serves, he talks about. If I can find the page here. Let's see, it's a garden. But there's a lot of like really beautiful artwork in here. Or maybe it's in the Demon of Chaos book. But let me look in here first. Man, he made some nasty looking demons. But yeah, the Liber Chaotica is beyond fantastic. A lot of really cool stories and ideas. And is everything canon in here? Probably not anymore, but most of it has never been like replaced. So like in that sense, then yes, it is still canon, depending on how you view such things. Where is my fucking Marcher Fortress art? Nurgle book. It's not in this book. Maybe it's in the Demon of Chaos book. Actually, here. Let's do it the smart way. By the way, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're all well. It is very cold here. Okay, I don't remember what book this is from, but I can pull the art up here. This is one thing the wiki is actually good for. It's not good for a lot of things, but it is good for finding pictures if you know what you're looking for. So this is the Marcher Fortress. So it is a grand palace that's way up in the clouds. And it's got all this horrible Slaneshi stuff, but it's got a lot of windmills. It's really famous for like tons of windmills all over the lands in there. And I think it's from the Tome of Corruption. That's what it's from. But the Marcher Fortress, super cool. You can find the Tome of Corruption really easily on the interwebs. It's not hard to find. It's a great book. I highly recommend picking it up. But it's way up there in the clouds. All right, so here we have the Marcher Fortress, which is fantastic. Really big defensive structure for Slaanesh. If we move a little more over here, we can find the Shattered Causeway. So this says, this broken stretch of land offers a risk-laden path to any that would cross the Shard Lands in search of the Realm of Chaos. So here you get your mention that, so the Shard Lands, which we discussed already, are these lands that are being literally broken up into shards that are then being devoured, consumed by the Realm of Chaos, are also, there are pathways you can take to safely enter the Realm of Chaos, or to cross these vast gaps of this like terrible void, this endless sea of nightmares, and safely get to some of these other places. So for instance, when we were talking earlier about trying to reach, where is it? The Crystal Spires. The Crystal Spires are obviously separated. Like there's no easy path to get to the Crystal Spires from the mortal realm. So, but if you were to, for instance, use a pathway similar to the Shattered Causeway, that could allow you to cross these seemingly impossible distances, these seemingly impossible gaps, and arrive safely at the Crystal Spires. Balmora, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Subject, just wanted to thank you for helping me get through the hell that is service work during the holidays. Oh, man, I hear that. Also, with Jig here, obligatory Dawi better than Elgi and Shagarath, which are better than Jigalag. Well, that's not very nice. That's not very nice. I'm sorry to hear you're sick, Jig. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better soon. Make sure to get some rest. All right, continuing our journey onwards, we have the Forge of Souls. So the Forge of Souls you should be very familiar with if you played Total War Warhammer 3 and you went through the campaign. It obviously revolves very heavily around Be'lakor capturing the Forge of Souls for himself. But the Forge of Souls, which really should be inside the Realm of Chaos, which you could kind of argue it is, but it really shouldn't be here. It's kind of just being represented on the map, but it's not a place you could realistically journey to. But the Forge of Souls is the place that when demons are destroyed, if you kill a demon, demons are banished to the Forge of Souls, where they will be remade and put back together so that they are able then to remanifest within the mortal realms. And there are some things that are very scary to demons that can force them to be stuck at the Forge of Souls for a very long time. Also, if a demon fails one of the Chaos Gods, the Chaos God might banish them to the Forge of Souls. So most of the time, going to the Forge of Souls is seen to be a punishment. So I would assume it is a very unpleasant experience. We also know that the Forge of Souls has an entity behind it. There is some sort of horrible thing behind it that keeps the space neutral. So none of the dark gods are able to take over the Forge of Souls. Khorne, Tzeentch, Slaanesh, Nurgle, etc. Be'lakor obviously seizes control of it during the Warhammer 3 storyline, but that's Be'lakor doing Be'lakor shenanigans, of course. But the Forge of Souls has this entity behind it. And this entity is able to make bargains with demons. And what the demons can do is they can offer up their true name, their essence, to this demon and make a pact with it. And the Forge of Souls will basically speed, express lane the process of making them a new body so that they might gain revenge on whoever killed them, or they might get back to the world faster, or whatever, and it creates a soul grinder. So the soul grinders are demons that have been mechanized through this horrifying process where they become part mechanical, part flesh, part demon, and they're then able to manifest and go out into the world. But the trade is that that demon is bound to the owner of the Forge of Souls, or the Forge itself, and owes it a contract of souls. So any of the demons that become a soul grinder have basically sold themselves into a form of kind of slavery, where they are monstrosities that work at this entity's behest until such time as they pay off their debt. Hammond, is it Vashtor? I knew it, that sneaky old man. So it's not Vashtor, to my knowledge. It's always just talked about as if it's the Forge itself. Could it be Vashtor? Sure, easily. Vashtor would actually make a lot of sense. Vashtor would fit the theme very easily. It could be Hashut. That could also work. It could be just the Forge. It could just be that it is its own unique thing, and that also works perfectly fine. We don't know what it is. It has never been properly detailed what is in the Forge of Souls. So we don't know. To my knowledge, though, Vashtor currently is a 40k only demon. Could the Forge of Souls be destroyed? Maybe. It would be, I would say it's very unlikely, but I suppose anything's possible. Next, we have the Wrath Gate. Located deep within the Chaos Waste, this hellish shrine is frequently visited by those who revere the aspect of the baying hound. The journey is perilous and fraught with many obstacles that test the fortitude of those who make the infernal pilgrimage. So, the Wrath Gate is said to be one of the entry points to Khorne's realm. So, the realm of Khorne, the blood god, has many entrance points and is a grand and protected land. It's a mighty, unstoppable fortress. A hellish plane that's nearly impossible to invade. However, there are entryways, and the Wrathgate is one of them. So if someone was seeking the attention of Khorne or his demons, or perhaps seeking the attention of the Baying Hound, as that's his totemic entity. The totemic entity of Khorne is the Baying Hound. This is where they would journey to. So this is theoretically where Valkia might have been attempting to take the head of the demon prince that she killed, that now is her shield, to present at Khorne's throne. The Wrathgate is a potential location she would have been heading towards. It's also a place where many of your strong Khornate warriors might try and journey to in order to gain the blessing of Khorne, so they can get the mark of Khorne somewhere on their flesh, or any other notable things. We have Karak Doom. Oh, Karak Doom. Karak Doom. Though none know for certain the fate of Karak Doom, many believe the Lost Hold still survives, teetering upon the brink between reality and the realm of chaos. So, Karak Doom has a very, very famous history. As you can see, it's really far north, which does make sense. Karak Doom is said to be so far north that it got eaten by the realm of chaos itself. That when there was a grand expansion of the Realm of Chaos, Karak Doom was one of the holds that got devoured and pulled into the Realm of Chaos and would never escape. However, so crazy is the Warhammer Fantasy world that a bunch of dumbass dwarfs and a manling, who we all love, very, very lovingly, made the absurd, insane journey up into the Chaos Waste itself, beyond where anyone else has ever journeyed before, in a great flying airship, and not only successfully made the journey to Karak Doom, but managed to break into it, fight their way down, find the survivors within the hold itself, because dwarfs are so fucking hardy that even with their mountains sucked into the Realm of Chaos itself, they've been surviving for a really long time. But this then led to the discovery of the survivors by the oh my god, brain fart. By the Bloodthirster that's down there, who's never named for some reason. And of course that leads to all of the events of Demon Slayer, which are fantastic, and Gochek and Felix might not only be doing some crazy shit down there, they beat a Bloodthirster in its own backyard, and successfully evacuate the survivors with many of their artifacts and flee back down to Kalakadren, because those silly dwarfs are just absolutely bonkers. What Pokemon do cheaters love? Seeking arrangements. Hammond, why do you do this? Why do you choose to be the way that you are? Karak Doom has to be one of the worst places in the Warhammer world. I cannot think of a place I'd want to be less, other than maybe Chapyodal. I mean, there are worse places. It's one of the worst stable places you could go, I would say. But yeah, Karak Doom's great. Just watched the Lorebeard episode on Slayer. Knows something you mentioned both here and there. Slayer Temple isn't in a floating city. It's on top of a mountain. Is it? I need to reread Slayer. It's been a long time since I read it. I remember when I read it, the thing that annoyed me about it was they talked about it being like somewhere in the middle of like the old world, like very close to the Empire. And the only thing I remember about it is that it was impossible to get to pretty much without the use of some crazy bullshit. Like the Zinch lady character had to be, or the sorceress character had to create an insane like giant land bridge that like slammed into it to get to it, some other stuff. But I need to reread it. It's been a hot while. We also have Zamaixen. So Zamaixen, really important location, obviously. This ruined city is believed to be older than even the race of man and has long served as an arena where the ruinous powers watch their mortal followers battle for power. Achieving victory in this arena will bring glory that will echo across the ages. So Zamaixen, really important location, features very heavily in the saga of Tamarkon.
Yotam 9 shared. X100. Character ID. Female deer beastman mutated with weather control powers. Her name, Tornado.
Y'all are gonna force me to make bit messages more expensive with your terrible puns. Thank you, Yotam, for that. Saurus Blood, thank you for the super chat. Starting a swamp themed beastman army for the old world. I was going to use the Cruel Boys Sumthrek Sludge Raker creature as monsters, but they fit the old world. Yeah, easily, no problem. Not even the slightest issue. So Zamaixen, notable city, pretty far along the so it's like right at the northern tippy top from where the Chaos Weiss meets the very edge of what we kind of understand as Norska / Kislev. But it's an incredibly ancient city that we don't know if Zamaixen is its original true name or if it's just the name that it's known by in the modern era, but we don't know who used to live there. Zamaixen was built by somebody. It is said to be older than the race of men, and the forces of chaos obviously now use it as a sort of arena. And if you go by the Total War Warhammer 3 additions to it, there's like thousands upon thousands of souls from all the people who've died there trapped within it. And whenever, if a champion were ever to claim like full glory there, they would ascend, they would like make the gods really happy and all that stuff. And it's the whole point of the Champions of Chaos storyline. But Zamaixen, as far as who built it, it could be anybody. One of the things you have to remember about the Warhammer world is that the Warhammer world is much, much, much older than the timeline we have for it. We have a roughly 10 to 20,000 year timeline. If you want to get really nitpicky, you could say a 20,000 year timeline for the Warhammer world. And that is purely when the old ones show up. So we don't know jack shit about the Warhammer world before the arrival of the old ones. But what we do know was that there was a great many civilizations, a great many monstrous empires. The dragons, of course, were said to be the dominant species, but we know we had things like the dragon ogres. There are some pretty strong hints. We had the fishmen running around, and there were some other various species that were would later be brought up by the old ones into the species that we know now. The old ones would change them to make them into the races that we understand now. So Zamaixen was very likely a great capital city, a great fortress that was built by one of these precursor species, one of these great civilizations that existed before the coming of the old ones, which in many ways kind of shows very possibly the one of the great tragedies of the Warhammer world, of that this civilization was more than likely, depending on which version of the story you'd like to consider, was either wiped out by the old ones themselves, because we know for a fact that the old ones created great, mighty campaigns of genocide when they arrived on the planet, where the old ones evaluated all of the different species across the Warhammer world, and they chose which ones would take part in the Great Plan and which ones would not. This, of course, leading to them exterminating countless species, many of which were intelligent, civilized, capable of creating art and building cities, but they were not part of the Great Plan, therefore... yeah, we don't know. It could also be that they're a race that existed in the far north and the old ones ignored them, but they were then later destroyed when the gateways imploded and the tides of chaos came swarming out, and Zamaixen might have been the site of some epic battle we don't even know about. It could have been some great battle where this old race, who was not part of the old one's plans but nonetheless had managed to survive, held their own in some great final last stand against the forces of chaos, and they lost. And it could be that the battle they put up against chaos was so big that the chaos gods delight in using Zamaixen as an arena for their champions to fight in a sort of twisted mockery of whatever race held against them in some ancient times at Zamaixen, but who could say? We also have the Gallows Tree. So the Gallows Tree is a very, very important site to Nurgle that has a really, really nasty, great unclean one hag. Though it's a little debatable whether she's a great unclean one or a demon prince. But there is this big, bloated hag that I would say is probably a great unclean one based on the description. But it's this terrifying feminine demon who lives here, and it's a great thing of Nurgle and plays a really, really important part of Tarmacon's journey. As Tarmacon, after he wins the battle at Zamaixen, he makes a journey to the Gallows Tree to speak with the demon that resides there to hear a prophecy. And she tells him the prophecy about him destroying Nuln, and if he successfully destroys Nuln, and offers it up to Nurgle, that it will be his grand ascension. He will claim the throne of chaos and receive his reward and demonhood. But of course, as we all know, Tarmacon's a dumbass who can't read a map, so he ends up destroying Faldorf, accidentally thinking that it was Nuln instead. But this says, legend says that the followers of the Carrion Crow flock to this warped and bulbous tree, a fetid landmark where one might learn the secrets of plague and decay from the bloated demons who cling to the boughs of the soiled tree. So far we found the main place for corn people to go, which is the Wrathgate for the Bang Hound, the Gallows Tree for the Carrion Crow, and the Crystal Spires for the followers of the Eagle. So we've found Zinch, Nurgle, and Korn so far, which means there's still a Slaanesh location to find. Here we have the Crystal Labyrinth. Everybody knows the Crystal Labyrinth. It's really simple. This is likely an entrance location to it, or maybe like a small manifestation of a small part of it. But the Crystal Labyrinth is very obviously probably a gateway into Zinch's realm, likely how the Wrathgate would be an entrance into Korn's. Mithril Blade. Could Zamaixen be a dragon city? I'm wondering about any possible ties to the Dragon King of Cathay. It's very possible, considering that the Dragon Emperor seems to use, you could argue, he obviously, there's a very strong Eastern aesthetic to the name of Zamaixen. It's quite possible that it might have been an ancient dragon city, and could possibly have some sort of link to the ancient dragons. Which could be a fun story, because it could invoke the idea that the ancient dragons that were not with the Celestial Dragon Emperor, but were standing on their own, tried to fight back chaos at Zamaixen, and they failed. They lost and died, leaving behind this terrifying arena. That's certainly a really, really interesting option. So carrying onwards, we have, could have been built by the Dragon Ogres, possibly. Wasn't the Marcher Fortress for Slaanesh. The Marcher Fortress belongs to Slaanesh, but they didn't make mention of the Serpent. So that's not where the followers of Slaanesh seem to go. The tribal followers, we should say. It's your mother-in-law, the hag demon at the Gallows Tree. That explains a lot. Here we have Nahome. So Nahome, it looks to be some sort of large fortress. It has the same icon as the Fortress Souls in Zamaixen, which likely means it's and the Marcher Fortress, so it's some kind of great fortress that belongs to something. Based on the fact it's called Nahome, I would guess that it's either being devoured very actively by the Shardlands, or perhaps there's some kind of devouring entity that resides there. Then we have the Monolith of the Void. Rising from a featureless landscape, this stone archway is filled with an inky black ether that consumes all who step through it. While some say it leads directly to the realm of chaos, none who have dared to step into the void have ever been seen again. So, that's fun and super duper spooky. So you can actually see there's a forest north of it. So the Monolith of the Void, just a big stone archway that's out in the middle of a great empty plain by itself. The only structure you probably see for miles. And it's got a black void in it, and if you walk into it, you're gone. Spooky. Who knows where it sends you? Might not even send you to the realm of chaos. Might send you somewhere else entirely. We have the Volcano's Heart up here, which is at the center of another one of these spirals. Interesting that it's kind of got a red coloring to it, but it's pretty obvious on the tin. It's a big volcano. Who knows what's in there? Neat. Spooky. We got the Withered Wastes. The Brass Glacier. Brass Glacier. This near solid flow of brazen lava creeps inexorably down the mountainside. At times it moves fast enough to overtake the fleetest of horses, yet it seems never to advance across the warped landscape of the Chaos Wastes. So, one of those really nasty, magical landscapes within the realm of chaos, quite literally a great mountain side that is covered in molten brass that constantly flows down it and seems to retreat and collapse and retreat and collapse, ignoring all the laws of nature, eternally flowing, and will flow after you if you seem to be near it or able to witness it. And yet, despite the fact that it is eternally flowing down and theoretically should spread across the world, it never leaves the mountain, which is spooky. We got the Mountains of Questioning. I hear Tim lives there. Apparently he's got a good thing going for him. If you go see Tim, make sure to tell him hello, but don't let him, be very, very careful what you let him ask you, and you should be careful what you ask him. It's a pretty one-way trip, I hear. We also have the Cliff of Beasts. Cliff of Beasts is a pretty famous location. If you've played Total War Warhammer 1 or you play a Archaon campaign in the modern setting, the Cliff of Beasts was actually like the iconic location for Warhammer 1 of where the Chaos factions came from. So when you'd play an Archaon campaign or any of those other guys, or you were playing a regular campaign and the Chaos invasion launched and came after you, the Cliff of Beasts was kind of where they originated from. But it's said to be a terrible place where a lot of monsters hang out, a lot of manticores, chimeras, chaos dragons, etc. But it's said to be a truly, truly terrible place. But it's got a really fun quest battle map that you fight at with quite a few chaos characters. So if you play a Archaon campaign into the war, you actually fight here. We've got the Blighted Grove, which is a much thicker forest than we've seen north of here. Obviously, very, very Nurgle themed. As we move over to here, we see the Black Pit, which the Black Pit, although it may look like a lake, it is not. It is looks to be one of the furthest south-reaching and largest pits that leads into the Realm of Chaos itself. So it's quite literally a titanic black pit. But maybe there's water, or maybe it looks like there's water. Who can say? Very spooky. We also have the Chasm of Torments, which is actually interactable. And this says, those who cross this arid landscape are tortured by waking nightmares. Those who survive are driven mad by the journey, speaking ever after of the most vivid visions of death and woe. So, yeah, pretty much what it is on the tin. It's an arid plain that if you try and cross, it literally haunts your every waking and sleeping moment with nightmares that haunt you for literally the rest of eternity. Cool. We also have the Fetid Catacombs, which are interactable. You'll love to see it. The Fetid Catacombs, south of the Plains of Bone, says a subterranean network of tunnels winds its way through the earth in the region. Its naturally formed walls perpetually dripping with warm ichor. Ugh. All right, so it's a great set of tunnels and caverns delved into the earth that makes a great subterranean network, and it's always moist, warm and moist, but not in like a good inviting way. Quite the opposite. Hammond, Mountains of Questioning, aka every straight man when they see Henry Cavill for the first time. I don't think that's a matter of questioning. I think that's a matter of knowing. We also have Blood Mountain. Across the old world and beyond, there are great volcanoes that spit fire and ash into the air when they erupt. Blood Mountain is aptly named, for this peak instead vomits forth torrents of boiling hot blood from beneath the ground. Cool. So a big old nasty mountain filled with impossible amounts of boiling blood that erupts and just gouts blood everywhere when it has its, I don't know, its time of the month or whatever. We also have the Plains of Bone. At the top of the world, great plains of bone stretch for league upon league, the last remnants of those that walked the path to glory but were found wanting by the gods. Long before their bones turned to dust, their deeds have been forgotten. Yeah, so the Plains of Bone is a super famous location. It's a place where it's literally just an endless plain covered in bones. So if you arrive on it, it's just covered in the dried bones of countless champions that have failed, because despite the fact it feels like they all succeed because we have a winner's bias, if you actually look at the path to glory, about 99.99999% of the people that attempt to become champions of chaos die horribly along the path, and many of their bodies will meet an ignominious end upon the Plains of Bones, somehow just showing up there. All right, so we've done these. So we've got the Palace of Ruin. Palace of Ruin, perched upon the edge of the Plain of Bones, the Palace of Ruin offers the last shelter before a dangerous journey across the wasteland. This has led to the palace constantly changing hands as Chaos Champions seek to claim the stronghold. So this is really cool. I actually really, really love this. So this is obviously the last notable stopping point for many who take the journey along the Path of Ruin, especially those that are attempting to journey all the way north in search of the Chaos Wastes, and into the Realm of Chaos itself, or perhaps just to challenge the various tribes that dominate the Chaos Ways. This is your last stop. This is the last gas station before you head out into the top tier ranked mode. And but the fact that it's constantly the site of wars means it's probably a ruin in and of itself, as it's warred over endlessly by champions. All right, so we've reached the eastern edge again, so we're going to scoot a little further down. We've got the Plains of Ash, which I think would be very notable on the 10. We've got a really nice, like a big lake here that flows down from the what looks like the northern edge of the Frostspire Mountains, which you can see there's a lot of like what looks to be marshlands indicated around it, and forms this big old lake out here as it flows down from the mountains. Plain of Ash, I think that's fairly straightforward. We got Bloodfire Falls. What was once a waterfall carved by glacial runoff is now a vision of an otherworldly hellscape. Like many places in the Chaos Waste, lava runs in place of water, tumbling over the bluffs and into the valley below like a tide of boiling blood. So this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier, where the realms of chaos go out and they eat places in the material world, and then when chaos is defeated or what have you, chaos is forced to pull back and reality reasserts itself, but things have changed. So where Bloodfire Falls used to be a very normal set of waterfalls that were created by glacial runoff, now it is a horrible set of falls that are made up of inexplicably of nightmarish lava that are forever pouring. So this is a really, really good example of what I was discussing earlier. We got the Folly of Malefics. Legend says that the wizard Malefics unleashed his powers to raise this twisted citadel from the glacier upon which it stands in a single night. Does anyone know why it's called the Folly of Malefics? What he did that was a folly? Does anybody in the audience know what Malefics did? It has to do with the glacier where he rose up his fortress. That's the hint I'll give you. And it's very relevant to the timeline that we're currently in, being the build-up of the Great War. Can anyone among the audience tell me what Malefics did? He built his fortress on a giant ice cube. That is technically correct, but that's not his folly. Froze his own head in ice. No, that would be funny. Living Legend, correct. You get the you said it first between the two chats. He unleashed Kolek Suneater. So the very glacier that Malefics raised his fortress upon had a prisoner. Deep within that glacier, which was created by a group of very powerful elven lore masters, elven powerful wizards in the ancient times. So this was back after Chaos was defeated with the rising of the Vortex, but when the elves went out and they started conquering a lot of the world, they ended up going up against Kolek Suneater, and Kolek Suneater fought a really big war against the elves until he was finally run down here. And at this big epic final battle between Kolek and the High Elves, a group of wizards managed to successfully conjure together a glacier, and they sealed Kolek Suneater inside, and there he remained until Malefics, which Malefics raised up his fortress on said twisted glacier, likely to give himself a staging point, and he built up a terrible, huge ritual where he called down a great firestorm of magic, and this firestorm melted the glacier and freed Kolek Suneater. And Malefics was never mentioned again, and it's called his folly, so I would be willing to bet he probably died horribly very quickly afterwards. Next, we have the Kvelig tribes. So the Kvelig. The Kvelig wander the Chaos Waste in large hunting parties, pursuing the many monstrous beasts that populate the region. Once slain, the beasts are butchered for their ivory, fur, and bone, all of which are valuable commodities in the frigid expanses of both Norska and the Chaos Waste. So the Kvelig tribe, pretty standard tribe. Nothing crazy cool about them, but they do add a nice little bit of a flair of lore, a little bit of kind of like fun extra information about how people survive up here. They are a tribe that live in a place that's notably cold, because obviously the further north you get, the colder it gets a lot of the time. Outside of weird shit, which happens a lot, of course, the closer you get to the realm of chaos. But showing that they're a tribe that mainly survives by hunting monsters and repurposing the corpses of those monsters for food, warmth, materials and trade, which is cool. Then we have Black Rock. This monolith of carven stone stands as a bleak monument to countless warriors fallen on the path to glory, serving as a reminder to those who land upon these accursed shores of the fate that awaits those the ruinous powers find wanting. So you'll notice that once we get south of Black Rock, which is a warning monolith, essentially, because for many, the path to glory starts here, where many people will fall to chaos, and they'll make their journeys, usually... if they're don't have any naval access, they will sometimes come this way and follow the World's Edge Mountains up, or they might take the route of the Eastern Steppes and then go beyond that way. But many people come by sea, where they end up departing from various places, ports in the Old World or Norska. They cross the Sea of Claws into the Sea of Chaos, and then they land somewhere along these shores where they would encounter the Black Rock. Which would be their great warning of here be fools, and those who go beyond here have a bad time. Next we have the Shard Woods. The Shard Woods are a macabre and frightening sight. The forest floor is littered with shards of shattered bone, perhaps marking the site of some ancient conflict or a vast charnel pit from some long ago forgotten civilization. Very cool. So you've got a big old forest, which the forest floor is literally just covered in shattered bone remains. Spooky. We have the Forest of Decay, which is probably a great rotting forest, likely filled with rotting corpses, knowing how Chaos Forests tend to be. Yeah, I'm sure it's a lovely place to venture to this time of year. The Cold Mires, another moderately famous location. This otherworldly wetland is a region of misty fens, stinking bogs, and poisonous swamps. Hidden beneath the stinking monsters are ferocious creatures known as toad dragons, a chaotic amalgamation of bulbous amphibian and monstrous dragon. So for those that don't know, the Cold Mires is where Tarmakon ventured to capture his dragon Bubabelos, the largest of the toad dragons. But as you can see, it's actually alarmingly far south in the grand scheme of things. It's right on the border of where the great continental space we know as the Chaos Waste meets the Frozen Sea, but it's actually quite close to kind of normal reality. But the Cold Mires are a big sucking nasty swamp cradled by all these mountains, where a great horrible many of pestilent creatures lie, and the toad dragons are native to the region. Ricky Chapman, thank you for the super chat. We went to the Chaos Waste in an Isekai style Wolf Rip campaign. Only one man had made it out. Everyone else died or was MIA. The last thing my friend saw as he jumped through a portal was us on a demigryph clashing with the Demon Prince. Well, I don't know where y'all found a demigryph up there, and I don't know what the fuck y'all were doing up there, but it sounds like a bad time was had by all, which adds up. So we have the Gethar tribes, inhabiting the land south of the Plain of Illusions. The hardy warriors of the Gethar tribes frequently journey across the Frozen Sea to raid their fellow Norskins and the northern reaches of Kislev. So this is a really interesting note, because one of the things this tells us, which I actually really, really like, is that the people of Norska are not just the continent. The people of Norska are not just, well, not the continent, but the peninsula. They're also the southern lands here of the Realm of Chaos, which is a good addition, I think, to the lore of that. One of the things that's talked a lot about Norskins is that the Norskins do not consider themselves Norskin. The term Norskin is different the way Southlings use it to the way the Northerners use it, because to the Northerners, they're not really part of a nation. They are a bunch of individual tribes that have a complex relationship. But this shows us that these tribes that are north of Norska consider themselves to be Norskins. They are part of the Norskin collection of tribes. So it's not just the ones that are here on the continent itself, but we also have the Agol tribe, the Kvelig tribe, the Gahar tribe, and the Hasteling tribes, which this is actually supported by the literature of those are known to be Norskin tribes. But this shows us that the inhabitable parts of the Southern Chaos Waste actually do belong to the people of Norska, which is interesting and shows that they're not just locked to the peninsula. So we've got the Plain of Illusions. We've got the Blood Marshes. The Blood Marshes. The smell of death hangs heavily over this otherworldly wetland. In this place of murky water and seemingly innocuous animal life, blood chokes the waterways, and beasts gorge themselves on the crimson ichor. Neat. Gross and neat. So here we have a far more cornate blood swamp. And the interesting about the blood marsh is you can see that it quite literally starts to leak up into the realm of chaos. So when looking at this, the thing that's fascinating to consider is where does the water, even though it's like the blood chum water, where does the blood end and the void, the creeping tendrils of the void of the realm of chaos itself begin? But the blood marshes have no water. It's quite literally gore, which is pretty cool. Then we have our first Norskin settlement in the north, Sneggervold. The ominous fortress of the Snagler tribe, bloodthirsty devotees of a bestial demonic patron, is one of the few permanent dwellings found in the Chaos Waste. So we have this spooky fortress within the blood marshes, likely hanging out where the fell waters of the frozen sea, so ocean water, meets with the runoff from the blood marshes, and this interacting of the salt water of the ocean and the cursed blood of the blood marshes. And there's people who live among these marshes, being the Snagler tribe, which one of the things that's notable is that they serve a bestial demonic patron, but that's most likely not Khorne. This is probably not followers of Khorne. These are probably followers of a minor chaos power. Now, it could be a bloodthirster, could be just some sort of Khornate demon, could be a demon prince, but it could also just be a regular minor power, which is really, really cool. Adding more goodies. It's likely a local minor power. Next up, we have the Hastling tribe, which is a very, 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 very famous chaos tribe. So we have roaming the blasted plains that lead up to the northern reaches of the World's Edge Mountains. The Hastelings are prolific horsemen, prized by chieftains and champions seeking to add fleet-footed raiders to their warbands. So they hang along mostly the foothills of these the World's Edge, very northern World's Edge Mountains, but also travel the forests and the wider plains. Cool. And we can also see there's another Snaglervold down here. So the Snagler tribe has two holdings. I wonder if they meant to repeat the name here, but we have the Snagler tribe having two holdings, and the Hastling tribe roaming a lot of the space between them. You have the Pillar of Skulls, which the Pillar of Skulls is a monolith, very on the nose. Then we have Grung Koldungur. So this is a dwarf hold in the very, very northern reaches of the World's Edge Mountains. It's got a big lightning bolt crack through it, which means it is fallen. So this is a fallen dwarf hold, Sag. We then have the Blasted Waste, which are part of the Kadatha Plains. So Kadatha, this desolate plateau, is rumored to be home of the mythical ruins of Zamaixen and the divine battlegrounds of the Champions of Chaos. So that's a fun tip of the hat and nod to the Champions of Chaos DLC, which focuses very heavily on Kadatha and Zamaixen, but also talks about that Zamaixen in and of itself is very mythical and that it's very rare to find it. Most people don't know how to find Zamaixen, and as a place, it can only be found during certain points of time and in the fulfillment of certain prophecies. Carrying across the Chaos Waste, we have the Tong. So the Tong are beyond famous. The ancestral lands of the Tong lie close to the twisted borders with the Chaos Waste transition to the realm of chaos, where they are frequently forced to defend themselves from marauding beasts and predatory monsters. The Tong tribe, according to some legends and myths, are said to be the most dangerous chaos tribe in existence. They were so big, bad, and powerful that all other tribes were terrified of them, and they came down long after chaos had already been defeated and unleashed absolute havoc and hell upon the eastern steppes and beyond before they eventually wandered back north, and they just vanished. They vanished, likely going into the realm of chaos until they eventually reappeared. In my personal research, I actually think the Tong tribe are the tribe that was responsible for surrounding Uzkalak, which was the ancestral original hold of what would become the Chaos Dwarves. which is actually not marked on this map, which is interesting. We have Uzkalani, but that is not Uzkalak, which is a different location. The Chaos Dwarfs, I think the only reason the Chaos Dwarfs ended up being created was because of the Tong. They are responsible for the siege of the dwarfs, the Chaos Dwarfs, or who would become the Chaos Dwarfs. We have the Hissing Pits, which is likely some sort of Chaos monolith that belongs, I would say, and is loyal to Slaanesh, probably filled with serpents and snakes. Uzkalak is there? Is it? Oh, there it is. It's further north than it. Oh, okay. Wow, they moved it way higher up. Okay. Wow. Uzkalak used to be a bit further down, but okay, there we go. There's Uzkalak, though I think it's supposed to have an apostrophe in it, but that's fine. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. So yeah, there's Uzkalak, but I believe the Tong are responsible for the siege of Uzkalak that led to its fall. All right, moving on. We've got the Red Abyss. Stretching across the Chaos Waste like a wound from a godly weapon, those who dare to glimpse into the chasm's depths are haunted by a malevolent crimson light that glows angrily at the very center of the darkness. So here, once again, this is not a river. This is a literal crack in the foundation of reality itself. This is... the land has been ripped open by the realm of chaos by some godly weapon. And it's very likely this was done by a weapon, seeing as it has a terrible crimson glow in the depths. This very likely may have been created by, I can't remember the name of it, but Khorne's sword. So Khorne has this titanic world-ending sword that he wields, and he actually does wield it at one point in the end times, where he carves a great, he gouges a big chunk of the earth. And it leaves this sort of situation where there's this great crevice that glows with an unholy, terrible light. So I would say the Red Abyss, very likely created by Khorne's sword, like World Ender or World Breaker or something like that. This could be a place where Khorne's weapon has literally struck the fabric of the world. All right, that is us done with this little area. So let's scoot down a bit more. And we've got Tamak, which fucking Kislevites, dude. Look at these Kislevites, man. They've got literal fabric. The fabric of reality itself is breaking down, and maybe like a couple 100 miles to the south, you got some fucking Kislevites being like, "We live here. This is our land. Chaos can fuck up. This is ours. Don't care if the neighborhood is falling into the realm of chaos. I've built a house here and it's mine." That's very funny. Tamak stands as Kislev's northernmost city and frequently finds itself under attack from marauding bands of chaos-worshipping fanatics and other barbarous tribes.
Lord is cheered. X100. So anything super interesting or new yet? Missed the first hour.
The way I would summarize... God, first hour? Have we already been doing this for an hour and we've barely gotten anywhere? The biggest takeaways for me so far is that the people of Norska, now instead of just being isolated on the peninsula, now rule the northern Chaos Waste, the southern Chaos Waste north of them, which makes a lot of sense. So the Kislevite peoples are a lot more spread out than they used to be, so they control a lot of this area. And we're also just looking at various locations. Zamaixen and Kadath are now nicely marked on here. And Kislev is huge now. Kislev, at some point in this video, I'll have to draw the new borders of Kislev, but the new borders of Kislev are fucking titanic compared to the ones they used to be. So yeah, so we got Tamak right on this large lake here, and they are the most hilarious, stubborn, dumbass Kislevites in the world, but that's why we love them. We got a lot of mention of beastmen here. We've got the Dolgum tribe. So here we've got many warbands wishing to raid Kislev in the old world must first cross the Dolgum lands. This constant migration means the Dolgum live in a near constant state of conflict, much to the delight of their ferocious and bloodthirsty warriors. So the Dolgum are a chaos tribe that rather humorously hate everybody. They attack everyone, they don't care. So chaos tribes trying to come down and attack Kislev, the Dolgum are gonna harass them. Kislevites going north trying to get to Tamak, the Dolgum are gonna harass them. The Hobgoblin Khanate raiding this far west, the Dolgum are going to harass them. No, so this is not the Dolgen. This is the Dolgum. Those are two different tribes. The Dolgins are a chaos tribe, but it is not who the Dolgum are. They are different. Where can I view this map? Go to theoldworld.com and scroll down to the bottom. We then have the hunting fields. We also have the Forest of Beasts, which we see as a larger Beastman symbol. Cool. Now, one of the things I want to point out about this map that I really love is I have a bit of an issue with the Beastmen as they were talked about in 7th edition Warhammer Fantasy. Which in 7th edition Warhammer Fantasy, the Beastmen are very heavily portrayed as, oh, they only live in forests. They never come out of the forests. They're a forest species. We actually talked about this in the most recent stream Andy and I did on Sunday. We talked a bit about Beastmen, or what? It might have been last Wednesday, the Q&A stream. But the Beastmen, we have this lovely map in the Beastmen army book, which if I pull up, see if I can find it here. There's a map that shows where the Beastmen are in the world. Nope, it's not this book. It might be, let's see. Might be in the 6th edition book. Let's see. I'll actually be happier if it's in here. No, this one has... Ah, here it is. All right. Ooh, it's sideways. Hold on. Let's pop open good old GIMP here. Well, you know what? You could just live with it. But like, if you look here, you can see where there's Beastmen. There are black tendrils. So the black tendrils indicate severe Beastman presence. You see the Southern Chaos Wastes, just completely black. The Northern Chaos Wastes are completely black. The Eastern Steppes are actually one of the only places that don't have lots of Beastmen. Cathay has a lot. End has a lot. And here you actually see that End, or there's actually an error here where Cathay is shown further south than it should be. But Koresh, Nippon, all these lands have major Beastmen infestations. Norska has tons of Beastmen. Nagaroth has tons of Beastmen. Lustria is completely clear. There are no Beastmen in Lustria at all, in the slightest, which is hilarious. But that also shows how terrifyingly dangerous Lustria is. Ulthuan has no Beastmen. But the parts of Nagaroth that don't have Dark Elves, because the Dark Elves live here around like the Great Lakes area, so you'll notice the Dark Elf section doesn't have a lot of Beastmen. But the Beastmen are everywhere. But they're in the mountains too. They're in the mountains of Norska. They're in the mountains of the Northern Wastes. Obviously, they meet a lot of stubborn competition when they're in the World's Edge Mountains and the Mountains of Morn. So they have very few footholds there, and they prefer the forests. But they can live in a lot more diverse environments as well. Yeah, none on Albion as well. Yeah, Beastmen struggle to get the islands. So all that to say, I love that we're getting Beastmen signs in the mountains, showing that, yes, there are Beastmen that set up in the mountains. There are types of Beastmen tribes that do better in the mountains, because they might be based on, they might have bestial traits that make them better for mountain living, where maybe they're more based on, like, species of rams that are native to the mountains, or other mountainous beasts instead of the ones that are more native to the forests. All right, continuing along the north here. So we've already looked at all of this. But down here, we have south of Blackrock, we have Swarvik, which is another Norscan settlement right before you reach the border to the Chaos Wastes. We have Thrakhorn, which we can interact with. Thrakhorn is the permanent fortress of the largest of the Kvelik tribes, a deep water harbor from which countless wolf ships have sailed to rage and pillage the coast of Norska, Kislev, and the Empire. Awesome. I love I love all of these new Norscan settlements. I love how vast the Norscan people are, and the fact that they have all these new ports and locations is so exciting for me. We have a shitload more beast tribes here as we enter a great forested region. Look at the size of these forests. So we have the Withered Forests, just east of the Frostspire Mountains. We also then have the Agvald Forest, which lots and lots of Beastmen tribes. We then have the Fortress of the Damned. Surrounded on all sides by perilous slopes, the Chaos Champions have vied for control of the Fortress of the Damned across the centuries. Daily, the fortress's attackers endeavor to lure its inhabitants out to meet them in open battle, hoping to finally break the eternal siege. This is fascinating. This is fascinating. Because notice what it says. It doesn't say that it's controlled by Chaos Champions. It says that Chaos Champions are trying to control it. But there's something inside of it that has held out for an eternal siege. Somebody lives in here. There's an inhabitant here that has held out for eternity, apparently. So attackers have been trying to lure something out to break a siege that has lasted for eternity, and they have not been successful. That's very cool. What is inside that fortress? It's not a dwarf settlement. If I don't think it's dwarves. I think if it was dwarfs, it would have a dwarf symbol. Because there is a notable symbol for dwarfs. Something else lives in this fortress. I would say it's probably something weird. So there's probably something weird inside of that fortress, which is really, really fucking cool. We also have the Palace of Princes, which you may very well know if you're familiar with Sigvald. Oh, so here's our serpent representative. So we've seen places where the followers of the Bang Hound go. We've seen places, the Crystal Spires, which is the Wrathgate. We've seen the Crystal Spires is where the followers of the Bang Hound go. And we saw where the followers of the Carrion Crow go, which was a place like way up in the northeast. The Palace of Princes, devotees of the Serpent, flock to this warrior lodge throughout the year, indulging in strange rituals and deadly combat trials to determine who will lead them in the coming months. Awesome. I love that. I love that very, very much. Oh, it could be Famir. That's a cool idea, Saurus Blood. Could be. Could be Famir in there. So Palace of Princes is a very, very Slaneshi place. I believe this is where you start with Sigvald in Total War, I think, which is awesome. So very Slanesh coded. Is somewhere where Sigvald would likely take over and retire to from time to time. Very cool. We have the Agold tribe, which is another cool Norscan tribe. Lots of beastmen inside the Withered Forests. We also have Veslikist outside of Kraken Bay. Oh, I can click on this one. Guarding the waters of the Kraken Bay, Vesligist is a large and well-fortified Norscan stronghold on the southern shores of the Chaos Waste. Once again, really reinforcing this idea that Norsca is not just the Norscan Peninsula. It's also the southern Chaos Waste, which is fucking fantastic, because that means that Norsca is so much bigger than we thought it was. Norsca is so much bigger than we thought it was, which is absolutely kick-ass. We then have Keldivind, which is in the middle of the forest, which is quite interesting. So this is not a harbor, which Vesligist also did not seem like a harbor. This seems like it's up in the mountains overlooking Kraken Bay as opposed to being a harbor for Kraken Bay. But Keldivind, we also see just being in the middle of the Withered Forest surrounded by beastmen. Very cool. We have the Teeth of the Kraken, which is a series of islands along the shore that leads out from Kraken Bay. That takes us to the Sea of Chaos. We also have a really, really cool Norscan longship here. We already did all this. Let's make sure we didn't miss anything here in the mountains. We did the Tamok. So interestingly, the Ungol's. So the Ungol people are still very present in the Eastern Steppes and are separate from Kislev. So there are some among the Ungol people that are surviving and are out in the Eastern Steppes. So there are notably larger rural parts of Kislev, which also shows us how fucking gigantic Kislev is now. But the Ungol people are not just in the Kislev homelands. This is very fascinating because the original Ungols were people that came down from the Chaos Waste and took over Kislev in like the ancient days. Like we're talking the time of Sigmar. So the time of Sigmar, we had Ungals all throughout here, but this means that the Ungol Empire likely stretched up to the eastern steppes until the Gospodaris arrived. And then the Gospodaris arrived and pushed the Ungols all the way back down into Kislev and fought them back until they were pushed all the way back to Erengrad, where the Ungals were finally defeated and surrendered. Which is very, very interesting. So, but the fact that the Ungals are specifically noted as being a tribe that still exists out in the eastern steppes, genuinely fascinating to me. And that also means that there are probably some of the Ungol people that may not be loyal to Kislev. These might be expatriates or people, I don't know if that's the right word. These might be people that left unified Kislev and are trying to like maintain their own cultural identity, which could be a really, really, really cool story thread. Then we have the challenge stone. Okay, so heading further down, we have the floating mountains, which are probably what they describe on the tin, mountains that float. We also have Great Rasputia.
Tech 27 SS cheered. X100. How many dwarfs does it take to build a gyrocopter? 1,000. One to put it together and the other 999 to shake their heads disapprovingly.
That's a good one. I like that. And that's very true. Probably shouldn't say that near dwarfs because they would accuse you of how dare you say that. How dare you? And, okay, we have the Plain of Wolves as well. So, Great Rasputia, this is the furthest east fortress of the Kislevites. And you'll notice that it's along a road. So this road stretches out, well, actually, it looks like it's a border. Interesting. So these are the borders of Kislev. What I find very interesting is it keeps going. Kislev thinks that they own land further east, likely going until the Great Bastion. So Kislev, this is one of the most fascinating things about this. Kislev in the old world is so much more powerful. They're so much bigger than they were in any of the old lore. Like, Kislev is a proper, like, empire. They are huge. It is likely that Kislev competes with the Hobgoblin Khanate for control of the eastern steppes. And granted, I think this area is not technically fleshed out yet. It could be that once we get Kislev as a playable faction or the Hobgoblin Khans as a playable faction, we might get a lot more detail about what exactly is going on here. But this shows the Kislevite border goes all the way to probably the Great Bastion itself. Which also means that there's going to be a much more intricate relationship between Kislev and Cathay than there was. Like, they are going to have far stronger relations because their borders are going to be touching. But the fact that Kislev has, you could argue, the arrogance to consider this their territory, even though they likely do not control it. I would guess that these are a selection of small, like, border forts that are very, 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 very well, like, maintained, very defended, have lots of people in them. But what we're likely going to see, if the old world does what I hope it does, these are all going to be destroyed. If the old world does what I hope it does, the arrival of Azavar Kul and the unleashing of his horde is going to crush all of this territory and force Kislev back behind the World's Edge Mountains. And behind Belyavibota Pass. I suspect will be what happens, but we'll have to see. So, we have the Mountains of Morn. As we head up along here, we see the Skull Road. So the Skull Road, which is supposedly the path that, depending on who you ask, was the path that Grimnir took north, or it was the path that a Cornate Legion took south, or both.
Does that mean the Silk Road was much safer than and East-West was much more connected?
Oh yeah, I would say the Silk Road here would have been much, much safer. Though I don't remember if this is the Silk Road. I'm trying to remember what this. It's in here. It's in the old Dogs of War book. This is. Fuck me! Come here. Ugh. What road is this? Here we go. This is number 3. Yeah, so this is literally the pathway that Rico and Rabio of Talea discovered to get to Cathay. Let's see. Let's see if we can find which road this is considered. The route to the north. Let's just Norska in the far north. Let's see. Araby. Chilean ships. The Lustrian venture. The Silk Road. Here we are. Because the road that goes along the south near the Dragon Isles. So this road down here, the one that goes near the Fortress of Vorag and follows along to dodge the Chaos Dwarfs by going south and then cuts through the Mountains of Morn, that's the Ivory Road. The northern road, which just goes over the Mountains of Morn, I think might be the Silk Road. Yes, yep, that's the Silk Road. So yes. Yeah, so the Silk Road is this blue line. The blue line is the Silk Road. Which was actually originally discovered by Talaeans. Good old Talayers. Alright. So, carrying on our explanation, we got Zamoyski, which is, of course, a very notable Kislev defensive structure that blocks the Skull Road, which is a favored invasion route by certain Khornates. We have Fort Dolgemir. Okay, so I don't think any of this is changed. So I'm not going to focus on things that haven't changed that much. So I don't think any of that's changed. Has anything changed inside of Kislev? I cannot seem to click on anything here. Prague, Ropsals, Sapuxi, Moraveni, Svedora. Nothing. I can't click on the Norskan doors, but we do have Krakadrak, Kazidravik, Krakadrang. Okay, we do have interactable Norskan stuff, so we'll come back here in a second. Okay, so I can't interact with the Norskan dwarves. Though we do have Krakadrak as a true faction. Anything in Kislev I can interact. We have the Sarl Norse down in Troll Country. We have the Ancient Chaos Temple, Shaman Darek. The Gravad Wood, Erengrad, Crags of Shargun, Bayan, Dazuli's Forest. Okay, no. Nothing has changed in Kislev. Sign of the Emperor. All the more reason for Total War Warhammer 4. CA will need to build a new supermat. Eternal Empires! That's genius. That's genius. Perhaps to properly fit everything significant into it, not to mention all the places that are too small. Man, that would be the dream. That would be the dream. Okay, so we've officially finished the Chaos Way section. Let's move on to Norska. Oh, wow, we've got, like, way more Norskan doors than we used to. So here we've got Kraka Ornsmotek, along with Kraka Ornsmotek, the actual settlement itself. The Jotunheim Mountains, so the Dragon Head, or Giant Head Mountains? Okay, so we have a larger dwarf, Norskan dwarf empire than we used to have. I'm a little sad not to see Krakow Ravensvac on the map, which is the new kind of like major settlement that the roleplay game added. Might be added in the future at some point, but I hope we get to see the Ravensvac added. Alright, so let's look at all these new Norskan settlements. So we have the Cockatrice Lair. Pockmarked by labyrinthian tunnels and caves, this rocky valley is populated by scores, Jesus, of deadly cockatrices. In testament to their numbers, hundreds of giants and trolls line the valley, their flesh turned to stone by the prey they came to hunt. That's awesome. That is fucking awesome. So, the cockatrice lair is actually terrifying. Scores of cockatrice? Jesus Christ. That's a lot of cockatrice. They're also missing their port. Yeah, they should have a port also around here-ish. But none of it's interactable, so hopefully it'll be something that we'll expand later. We also have Morkestar. So Morkestar is a new settlement. Rugard, we have the Islings tribe. The Islings tribe play a really, really big role in the war to come. If Games Workshop doesn't do a significant change to the setting, the Isling tribe produce the champion that will destroy Krakadrak. Krakadrak is supposed to be destroyed by Valmir Isling, which Valmir Isling is one of the great champions that serves under Azavar Kul, and Valmir Isling is tasked with leading the invasion against the Norse dwarfs because he fights them to prevent them from reinforcing Kislev during the Great War. So they're supposed to fight the dwarves to keep them occupied. We also have the Sarl tribe. Renowned builders of wolf ships, the Sarl tribe spend as much time on the sea as they do on land. Though they often raid coastal towns and cities, the Sarl also trade with the people of the old world and are still welcomed into many ports to ply their wares of furs, ivory, and timber. Hooray! We're keeping good guy Norskins. They didn't get rid of good guy Norskins. So we still very awesomely have tribes that are happy to trade and have positive relationships with the Southern Realms, which is very, 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 very cool. So I'm really glad to see that. I'm glad that they're not just getting pure chaos coded. They're sticking with the information we got in the Tome of Corruption in the second edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. We've got Svort Bloodguard, the Aesir Pass, which leads from the territory of Kislev up into the land of the Norscan dwarves. The Forbidden Citadel. Overlooking the frozen sea, this mighty fortress was a bastion of strength even before the influence of chaos began to taint the region. Over centuries, tribal chieftains have fought and died to claim ownership over the fortress, but it is now the champions of chaos who war amongst themselves for control of the fortified position. That is fascinating. That is fascinating. That is huge. That's a big change. That's a big change. So according to this is a huge change. So according to this, Norska has not always been a chaos-tainted hellhole. This is a gigantic change to the lore. According to this, there was at some point a time after the Norskins arrived in Norska. So after Norska was pushed out by Sigmar into the Norscan peninsula, they built the Forbidden Citadel, and champions fought over it centuries before the influence of chaos tainted the region. That is a gigantic change. That's a gigantic change. So this would mean that, wow, that's huge. That's way bigger than anybody. Wow. Okay, we'll talk more about that in a bit. Monolith of Flesh. A stark reminder of the grim power of the Chaos Gods, this monolith is built from the corpses of those sacrificed to the ruinous powers. If this were not macabre enough, the winds of magic, warped by the power of chaos, blow terrible life into the pillar, causing it to writhe and thrash like a beast in agonizing pain. Well, that's gross. Ew. The Ice Field of Dvergen Mort. So the Monolith of Flesh, literally a living monolith of people that are eternally writhing and probably screaming in agony and stuff. Great place. Lovely to visit. We have Iceguard. Aldishborg. The Norsvik Pain. Novgoborg. We have the Varg tribe. Fearsome Norskins devoted to the worship of the ruinous powers, the Vargs are shrouded in myth and legend, and they are reputed to be amongst the most bloodthirsty of Norscan raiders to blight the shores of the old world. Neat. Varg are pretty spooky. We also have the Black Gulch. This deep valley was formed long ago by glacial runoff and now a now dried up river. In the depths of the gulch, a subterranean network of tunnels worms its way through the rock and has become home to all manner of creatures, both monstrous and cowardly. Interesting. Okay. Son, thank you for the super chat. Oh wait, I already read that. But thank you. Yes, and I agree. I want to total Warhammer 4 as well. Random names. Your old one, genocide lore, makes me feel better about punking the lizardman as Yuan Bo off to start another campaign. Yeah, because the Celestial Dragon Emperor totally hasn't done super fucked up stuff. No, of course not. It's totally innocent. Yeah, sure. The Tower of Krak. This stronghold has long been used as a staging post for those who raid overland into Kislev for centuries. Despite the dangers of crossing Troll Country, raiders return to the Tower of Krak each year laden with riches and resources. Cool. So it's the most notable staging point for the Norskins to invade into Kislev. Makes a lot of sense. Very cool. Doom Keep. Dominating a mountain pass in the center of Norska, the Doom Keep is a mighty watchtower that stands vigil over the route through the mountains. From this mighty fortress, its occupants venture out into nearby lands to hunt and raid. It's nice to see the Norskins also getting like lots of cool towers and fortresses and stuff that have like a history that isn't just Chaos Champion. Like it's more complicated than that, which I like. Ever Thunder Pass, Suderholm. The port town of Suderholm has grown in wealth and power in recent years, for it is the home and base of Fridal Chainmaker. So this is the new special character for the Warriors of Chaos. The infamous Chaos Champion has successfully raided the coastline of the Westerland and brought home vast sums of prisoners and riches, ensuring the favor of the support of both her people and the ruinous powers. Nice. Nice. The Black Gulch is Clan Crooktear territory. Yeah, so yeah, this is Skaven. Yeah. I wouldn't even say it's in... Actually... Oh, yeah, Black Gulch, yes, because the Black Chasm is in Bretonnia. So yes, that's a Skaven settlement. So yeah, Skaven, and Games Workshop even pointed out, Skaven being your monstrous creatures, both monstrous and cowardly. It's because they're Skaven down there. Please, Games Workshop, give us back the legacy factions. We beg. We beg. Altar of the Crimson Harvest. Situated close to Troll Country, the Altar of the Crimson Harvest attracts those who dare to venture into this dangerous land in search of monsters to capture or slay. So here we have an altar to the Dark Gods, but also, interestingly, it serves as a staging point for monster raids. Cool. We have the Ulfwener Mountains, which... What would that be? Wolfmen... That seems to be something along the lines of like Wolf People Mountains or like Wolfmen Mountains, something like that. The River Balding, Kaderibol, River Nardvash, the Monolith of Katam. Katam is a really, really important Chaos Champion. If you like your Egrin von Horseman, he has the Skull of Katam. Katam was a very, 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 very gifted Chaos Sorcerer and Demonologist, and his skull to this day still talks and is said to know basically everything. Though it's very easy to corrupt you with knowledge. Oh wow, look how far the Norscan dwarves have a active hold. So because it has the crossed hammers under it and a full anvil, this means this is an occupied, still thriving, or at least surviving, Norscan dwarf hold. So we have Kraka Ungrim. Very cool. So Kraka Ungrim, look how far this is. I mean, that's over halfway through Norska. Norscan dwarves, look at them. Look at them being all successful. The Vanaheim Mountains. These soaring mountains are capped with snow year-round. Their frozen peaks home to many monstrous beasts that are often hunted by the tribes of Norska for their meat and fur. Likely a place you'd find Yetis. We do see even more beastmen up here. Lots of beastmen hanging out in the forests. What's interesting is you don't see beastmen in the mountains in Norska. In the World's Edge Mountains, we have actual beastmen tribes in the mountains, but in Norska, notice how all of them are in the forest, which is interesting. That's a noticeable detail, that they're only in the forest pockets, which is very cool. the forest of Landring, the forest of Nilfheim. We've got the Greyling tribe. Believing themselves to be the strongest and mightiest of the Norscan tribes, the Greylings are resistant to chieftains of other tribes who would seek to unite their scattered peoples or seek dominion over the lands owned by the Greyling warlords. So they're hilariously arrogant. Cool, I dig it. We also have Mount Hellspire. Despite the regular volcanic activity that afflicts Mount Hellspire, Norscan tribes frequent the area to collect valuable obsidian and other resources, rich resources found from the rich volcanic earth. Love it! I love the amount of world building we're getting from these maps. I love how we're getting like specific, like we're seeing expanding empires, larger empires, more diverse ecosystems, resource gathering. Like, oh yeah, of course that the Norskins have volcanoes that are active and provide important resources that are crucial to their survival and war efforts. Very cool. Especially if you know how important obsidian is within the Warhammer fantasy setting. Obsidian is anti-magical. It's a very, 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 very powerful anti-magical resource. It fucks with wizards. Obsidian is like one of the best tools you can have for dealing offensively with magic. We got a lot more port settlements, which is cool. Svinsvisk, Bjarkøy, Steinvalk, the river Stimakild. I love that we're getting a lot more named rivers and stuff. The mountains of Thiagi, Ulrikstad, Bjornlings, though that's Ulrich with an O, not a U, but there's still a story there. The Hall of the Snaggers. So we talked about the Snagger tribe earlier. The Snagger tribe up here. Where are they? They're here. So you got Snaggervold. So it looks like the Snagger tribe is actually quite a bit bigger than we initially thought. Not only do they hang out in the Blood Marshes and on the other side of the plains dominated by the Hasteling tribes, but they also have a hall here at the mouth of one of the rivers that flows out of the Scaling Lands. You have the Bjornling tribe, Heimsetter, the fortress of Vixjordsburg. There's probably someone in chat that's like, he's butchering the names. We have Iskvard. Nestled in a deep fjord, Iskvard is sheltered from frequent storms that ravage the coast of Norska. This protection makes Iskvard a vital trading port for merchants from both Norska and the Old World, who are protected throughout their stay by the hospitality of the ruling chieftain. Love it. So here we see the Bjornling tribe also has a fairly positive relationship with the southern realms. You know, they're still raiders. They still do the things they need to survive. But despite the fact that they would even worship the chaos powers, they're not like hard, insane, bloodthirsty savages like you would see with like the Greyling or the Varg. But no, the Bjornlings are like the Sarl. They're one of the southern tribes. They're a lot more reasonable and open to trade. Bragnir, Thrasel, the Monolith of Jet. Ah, good old Borkill the Bloody-Handed. Raised to honor the Norscan chieftain Borkill the Bloody-Handed after he felled a mighty bone grinder giant single-handedly. Many of the Greyling have journeyed to the monument to ask the spirit of the long-dead chieftain to lend them his strength in whatever trials lay ahead for them. So, the part of the story it actually leaves out is the only reason Borkill was able to kill a bone grinder giant by himself, the only reason he was able to do this was he found the Chalice of Chaos. So the Chalice of Chaos is a magical chalice that just appears places, and if you drink from it, it will grant you some sort of almighty power. And so Borkill the Bloody-Handed was fighting a bone grinder giant. He finds the chalice, he drinks from it, it gives him unholy strength, and with that strength, he successfully kills a bone grinder giant. Which a bone grinder giant is so much scarier than a regular giant. Regular giants are insane. Like, they're so big, you know, that a human does not even come up to their knee. Like, they're fucking colossal. But a bone grinder giant is, like, beyond that. Yes, it is an item in Total War. We have the Scaling Tribe, Turoi, Arvik, Ulfsland, Berka. Alright, we have finished our tour of Norska. Big takeaways for me. I'm very, very pleased that the southern tribes have remained much more peaceful and a lot more trade conscious and like willing to deal with outsiders in a friendly way. So the Bjornlings, the Scalings, and the Sarl. Interesting updates on that. The Varg tribe are apparently not very well known right now. The Varg have kind of sort of vanished into myth. and a lot of people don't seem super confident that they're still around. The Greyling are a very aggressive tribe and aren't friendly with anybody, including other Norscan tribes. So Norska is very not unified at the moment. But the biggest thing by far is near the Aisling tribe, the confirmation that Norska has a history of pre-chaos. So that means when Sigmar Heldenhammer chased the Norskins up into Norska, those lands were not yet controlled by chaos. So chaos was much, much, much weaker during the time of Sigmar, in the sense that it hadn't gone so far south. This is actually a really good development, because the thing is, in the old lore, it was always really weird how bad chaos had been at advancing, because the idea was kind of that chaos had corrupted Norska as far back as Sigmar, if not earlier, like pre-Sigmar, and then chaos had just not managed to advance any far south for 2,500 years. But with this is telling us that no, during the time of Sigmar, chaos had not yet corrupted Norska, which means that it happened some point over the last 2,500 years. And this also means that the Norskins have a much more complex history, which is fantastic, but it also means that we have a much more easy to identify spectrum of how far south chaos's grip has been reaching over the centuries. That chaos has already been growing further and further and further down, perverting the lands of Norska, which is very, very, very cool. It's already in the lore that Norska is pre-chaos, not the continent, the people, but the Norska people used to live down here. The people of Norska used to live in the Northern Empire south of the Ungol people. But Norska has always been a land that was inhospitable and tainted by chaos in the older lore. Like, the Norskins were already well aware of the gods of chaos, and Morkar the Uniter, the first ever chosen, according to the lore, though I hope they kind of fix that, because Morkar being the first ever chosen is weird. He should really be like the ninth or like the 8th or something. I would make him the 8th. I think the 8th would be more suiting. But back when they were the Norsey people were down here. But they get forced up into Norska, but chaos was already a powerful influence in Norska. It was already a chaos-tainted land, where the powers of chaos were strong. But the Forbidden Citadel literally saying that the taint of chaos had not influenced the region. That's a change. That's new. All right, so we've already looked at all this, so we can skip this. We've already read all the greenskin stuff. We read that on a stream not that long ago. The dwarf stuff is new. We got new dwarf goodies. So the dwarf stuff is actually interactable. So we have Karakadrin. Known to the dwarves as the Slayer Keep, Karakadrin is home to a vast shrine to Grimnir. Many members of the Slayer cult are drawn to the hole in the hopes of having their names and dooms recorded. Obviously, that's not super new. I don't think any of these are new. Oh no, some of this is new. Oh shit. There's new Empire stuff. Oh god, I don't know which of this is new and which isn't. So we have Ostermark here. Lumber is the sole plentiful resource of Ostermark. Much of the province's population living in fortified towns along the edge of its forest. Sworn to Osterlund, numerous woes have been inflicted on Ostermark in recent centuries, leaving it a shadow of its former self. The Deadwood, because I couldn't click on Sylvania before. You can actually click on Sylvania now. This is new. Seen as a cursed land by many in the Empire, Sylvania's legacy is tainted by the dark deeds of its past wars. It is a poor state, relying on whatever scraps it can negotiate from its neighboring provinces. So this is obviously post Vampire Wars, what we're going into. So Manfred, Vlad, and Conrad have already been defeated. Also, Dark Deeds! Make sure you pick up Dark Deeds made by the Rookery. That's a great way to support Andy Law, our beloved. Zufbar. Zufbar is built into a deep chasm worn over time by a torrential waterfall that cascades down through its center. It is a highly industrious hold. Its smoke-belching forges making use of great power machines powered by the falls. Great, cool, awesome. Nothing super new there. The Blackwater. Known as Varn Draz in the tongue of the dwarves, this vast lake is fed by waterfalls that flow from the peaks of the world, numerous peaks of the world's edge mountains. Numerous orc and goblin tribes cluster surrounding mountains, making war on the impregnable fortress of Zufbar. Also, a lot of Skaven nearby. Oh god, we got all this like new dwarf stuff. Gundrixen's mines. In 637 of the Imperial calendar, Thori Gundrixen discovered Gromro on the slopes west of the Blackwater, also known as Kadak Varn. This discovery led to the opening of some of the dwarves' richest and deepest mines until the tunnels were overrun by vermin and the digging abandoned. More Skaven. So we've got more Skaven. Oh no, there's so much. There's new interactable Empire stuff. Oh dear God. Kroop the Sixth, home of the Halflings. The Moot survives thanks to the protection of its neighboring states. Currently, the Moot is aligned with Stirland and Averland, providing food in return for defense against bandits. Very cool. And looks like we know that it's led by Kroop the Sixth, who has maybe a cockatrice as his banner. But Kroop the Sixth is the current head high elder of the Mootland, so that's cool. Engelwise, though it still bears the ravages of the Vampire Wars, vast amounts of trade flow down the Stirland to the River Stir. The waterways patrolled by the Stir River Patrol. Okay, okay, cool. We got... Oh, some of these... Oh, we've got, like, new banners, too. I don't think some of these were here before. Averland. Averland's large areas of fertile land ideal for growing crops, land highly sought after by its neighboring provinces. Raids by orc warbands camped in the Black Mountains are a common source of strife in Averland. Cool. Okay, none of the cities are interactable, it looks like. Oh, there's Kadak Varn. Why is Kadak Varn so far north? That's weird. Cragmere was once the source of much of the dwarf's Grumrill, until the whole was flooded and claimed by nameless horrors. Desperate to recover the lost riches, it's further south than I thought it would be. Desperate to recover those lost riches, the dwarves have gone through great efforts to reclaim the lost hold. This is fascinating. So this is showing Kadak Varn as an active hold. So this is not... Kadak Varn is not a fallen hold on this map. Fallen holds have a specific symbol. This is an active hold that is being currently reclaimed. But yes, it's flooded by the Blackwater. So the Blackwater, you can see here how it like connects through here. Cracks during the Goblin Wars, the great earthquakes caused a bunch of cracks, and the vast amounts of the Blackwater flooded into Kadak Varn. And Kadak Varn has a bad Skaven problem, as well as things that live in the Blackwater getting in through the cracks. So they're like horrible creatures, water creatures, fishmen, you might say, down there. But that's actually really cool. So I like its location. I like that it's currently active, which means there are dwarfs in Kadak Varn. And Gundrixen's mines being so far away from it is actually a very cool update. It used to just be Gundrixen's mines were like right next to it, but the fact that it's much further away is cool. Blackfire Pass, obviously. Connecting the northern corner of the Border Princes with the lands of the Empire, Blackfire Pass is a vital trade route. Its environs practically bustle with towns and fortresses. Cool. Kadak Ansgashad, one of the first dwarfholds found in the Black Mountains following the calamities of the Age of Woe. The throng of Kadak Ansgashad stands guard over the eastern peaks of Blackfire Pass. Love to see it. Summer. Oh, Wizenland. Okay, it's ruled over by Summer. Okay, man. Okay, we're getting a lot more elector counts, which is cool. I'm liking all the. So we've got Summer as an elector count of Wizenland. Collar the Fourth is the elector count of Averland. Kroop the Sixth is the elder of the Moot. Drekvald is the current lord of Sylvania, it seems. Hoffman is the elector count of Ostermark. Engelwise the Ninth is the elector count of Stirland. Liebwitz. Oh wow, the Liebwitzes are already there. That's fun. Summer. Wizenland produces vast quantities of crops that are used as political leverage in their dealings with Talabekland and the Reichland. Raids across the border into Sudenland are common, though Wizenland claims no claims no knowledge of such deeds. We don't know anything about that. Karakiern, known as the Hornhold for the caverns at its peak, through which the wind would wail loud enough to shake the mountains. This phenomenon has been exploited by the dwarves with the addition of many chambers and vast doors, turning the mountaintop into a vast horn which can be sounded at will. I'm curious if the current king is there. The king in the Age of Kralfrons. I don't think he's going to be king right now. It's probably going to be somebody else. King, oh Jesus, I'm blanking on his name. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Kruger the Third. Sudenland, the Free State of Sudenland, is a breakaway state of Wizenland, refounded by nobles claiming a link to the lost electoral seat of Solland. Border conflict is rife in the state, its people fiercely defending its autonomy from its neighbors. Awesome! Great! The fact that Sudenland has declared independence from Wizenland, and there is, like, a spat because of that, that's fucking fantastic news. That's great. Yeah, Ulrich Randallson. Thank you. King Ulrich Randallson of Karakiern. Though I doubt he's there right now. This is great. The fact that Sudenland is an active political thing, and has declared independence from Wizenland and is trying to reestablish themselves as Old Solland, even though they don't have a Runefang, is fantastic. That's awesome. That's great. That's the kind of political intrigue we want to see going on in the Empire that makes it feel alive. Karak Norn. Occupied by outcasts from the lost holds of Mount Silverspear and the slopes of Mad Dog Pass, Karak Norn occupies a vital position for the dwarfs, overlooking as it does the great forest of Athel Loren. Karak Asgraz is currently active and fine. We have Bloodkeep, which has the vampire symbol. So we still have active vampire forces. Obviously you got Castle Drakenhof, but we've got so Bloodkeep, really close to Nuln, being all spooky and shit. So Bloodkeep, which I believe is currently ruined, but someone will make their way back there before long. A certain Wallach Harkin. Leibwitz. So the Leibwitzes have already taken over Nuln. Nuln stands as a free state within the heart of the Empire. Its political and military influence secured by the city's vast forges, which supply the Empire's provinces and states with shipments of artillery and firearms, no matter who their foes happen to be. Fun. Ludwig VII. The Grand Duchy of Talabek, the largest yet most disparate of the great provinces to have risen from the ashes of the Empire, the Grand Duchy of Talabek is renowned for harboring numerous witches, warlocks, and secretive guilds. Also has good old Talapheim, the city of laws. Nestled within the Great Forest, Talapheim is sometimes known as the Eye of the Forest and is the greatest city claimed by the Attila emperors. Talapheim is built within a miles-wide crater, its natural edges forming natural defenses fortified by gun towers. Okay. Beckhofen, Kislev City, the Romanov family. We've already looked at the Bitter Eyes. Sigismund, the Grand County of Osterlund, which I know Andy hates that. Osterlund is that's a weird thing. Because these should be the Wolf Emperors, which the Wolf Emperor should be claiming it as for Mindenheim. The fact that they're going by the Osterlund is weird. Ruled by Sigismund Ulrich, Osterlund is one of the 4 great provinces to have arisen since the collapse of the Empire. It encompasses large portions of Ostland, Hochland, Midland, and enjoys close ties with Ostermark in the east. Hergig, the Howling Hills, Mindenheim. Vast and impregnable, Mindenheim stands atop the Ulrichsberg, a pinnacle of the rock that dominates the landscape around it. Is also known as City of the White Wolf in recognition of its patron deity, the god Ulrich. It stands at the center of cult of Ulrich throughout the old world. Yeah, cool. Biekerhofen, Norden, Dietershofen, Laurelorn Forest, Magritta VI. Ruled by Elspeth, Magritta VI, Westerland is one of the 4 great provinces of the Empire. It's a wealthy and cosmopolitan state, able to field vast armies in the name of its ruler's claims to the throne of the Emperor. Though, currently, they're having a really bad time. Because Friedel, the Chainmaker, has actually conquered a part of the wasteland. Carving a vast swath throughout the barony of Westerland, this suitably named expanse of salt marsh is a harsh and unforgiving place, dotted with sparsely populated hamlets and farmsteads. So Friedel the Chainmaker has invaded Westerland and has actually taken territory. The Mirror Moors. Oh, guys, that's a gnome symbol, ain't it? Look at this unique symbol in the Mirror Moors where the gnomes are. Are we getting gnomes in the old world? beyond the gnome we already got with one of the wizard models. But look at that symbol. That's a faction symbol. That's not the Empire. It's not elves. I think those are gnomes. I think those are fucking gnomes, dude. I think those are fucking gnomes. This symbol was not here before. This is a new symbol. Oh my god, are we getting gnomes? We got the Minmors, Marienburg. Marienburg sits at the mouth of the River Reich and is open to merchant vessels from across the world. Everything is for sale in Marienburg, making it the largest, richest, and most corrupt port city in the old world. Neat. So we've already checked out. We got a new, we got a faction, a Wood Elf faction, the Forest of Arden, which is cool. The Pale Sisters, named for their year-round snow-capped peaks, the Pale Sisters are currently in the domain of Warboss Spinecracker and his massive wall. From his alpine base, Fiendish Warboss has launched countless raids. Building up to his big fight with the king, where he'll... Wait, I can click on the greenskin symbol? What? Oh. I did... What? They're a clickable green... Okay, it says the same thing. Oh, no, it's different. Pale Sisters. Since before the founding of the Empire, the Pale Sisters have been home to orc and goblin tribes beyond counting. Yet, despite the best efforts of the denizens of the Empire of Bretonia, their numbers only increase, and with them, the amount of bloodshed and death in the towns and cities and lowlands must endure. I can click on the greenskin heads this entire time? Oh, look at the Cathayan sky junk. Or, sky junk. The Cathayan, I forget what they're called. But the boat. We got a Cathayan ship! Very cool. So a Cathayan ship coming to the Manon's Port Sea. Good old Yin Yin. We got Yin Yin goodness. Can't click on the High Elves in the High Elf symbol next to the Dragon's Maw yet. I can't click on Tor Solil yet. God, I wish I remembered which all this I had interacted with and which I haven't. We have Wilhelm, Grand Principality of Reichland. The Principality of Reichland occupies the ancient heartland of the Empire. Within its borders, the cult of Sigmar holds sway. Yet, despite its support, the princes of Altdorf, who would claim the title of Emperor, have never been recognized and are known derisively from their rivals as the Reichsland Pretenders. And Altdorf itself. Astride the confluence of the rivers Reich and Telebeck, Altdorf is the seat of the Reichland princes, major claimants to the imperial throne. Traders and fortune seekers flock to Altdorf, as do pilgrims seeking blessings at the Grand Temple of Sigmar. We can also click on Caroburg. With a strong military tradition, Caroburg is home to both illustrious Caroburg greatswords and a chapter house of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. You got the River Delb, which leads up to Delbers. We got Beakerhaven, the Howling Hills, the Barren Hills, which I don't think these are supposed to be the Barren Hills yet. If memory serves, these are supposed to be the Green Hills. I don't think they turn into the Barren Hills for a bit longer, because there's a Warpstone meteor that impacts them and turns them into the Barren Hills, but I don't think it's happened yet. Okay, cool. So we've checked out all of the elector counts that are available. Karazakarak, roughly translated to the tongue of men, Karazakarak means pinnacle of the mountains, the largest, oldest, and most fortified dwarf stronghold. That's actually not true. Karazakarak has endured all the ages of the old world, and though every dwarf might be slain in its defense, it will endure until the world itself ends. That is technically true. The hold itself does last until the end of the world, even though all the dwarves within it die. So this is actually wrong. The oldest dwarf stronghold is actually Karak 8 Peaks, not Karazakarak, which is very funny. We have Kazid Vosk. This once significant outpost of the Engineers Guild was lost to the dwarves during the Troll Wars. Recently, however, the upper levels have been reclaimed by the efforts of Burlock Damnenson, which is, of course, covered in the dwarf book. Black Spider Forest Goblins. World's Edge Mountain. Kurgaz's Forge. Said to have been the most capable runesmith to have ever lived, Kurgaz is renowned for forging the Anvils of Doom in the fires beneath Thunder Mountain. The site of his legendary workshop has been lost to the dwarves and overrun by hordes of goblins. That's cool. I dig that. Thunder Mountain. The Eye of Aurak. The Iron Rock, of course, founded by good old Gorbad Ironclaw. Barak Var. Called Seagate in the tongues of men, Barak Var is the dwarf's only seaport. In a vast, deep water harbor, their fleet sits proud. A force equal to any navy in the world, each steam-powered vessel a floating fortress. Shouldn't Caroburg have a Knights Panther chapter house? Yes, it should. But it has a Knights of the Blazing Sun one now, which is weird. It used to have Knights Panther, you're right. So I don't know if that's an error or a lore change, and we won't really know until some further details. The Border Princes. Within the settlements of the Border Princes, with the settlements of the Border Princes, the orcs of the Badlands in such close proximity to one another, raids and skirmishes are frequent and bloody, with both sides battling for survival. Great, now I gotta, like, check out the stupid orc head symbols, because some of them are apparently clickable. Yep, see, there's another one. The Darklands. Those who traverse the Darklands speak of it as an otherworldly hellscape, with rivers of tar and oil that snake across the plains like dark serpents. Roaming bands of black orcs fight for dominance in a place that few dare to enter, let alone try to call home. I still really don't like that the Black Orcs can be taken in the Chaos Dwarf roster. I think that's dumb, and it doesn't make sense within lore, because no Chaos Dwarf in their right mind would ever trust a Black Orc anywhere near their troops. But it is what it currently is. Alright. Cool. Oh god, I'm gonna just hope they haven't added anything new to Bretonia. Because I do want to get down to the, east. I'm pretty sure all the Bretonia stuff was already interactable. See, we also have Kadak Izor. We also have, oh god, no, there's more. Kadak Gantuk. Originally an outpost set up between Kadakir and Kadak Ansgahar, Kadak Gantuk grew through the quarrying of stone and trade with the men of the Border Princes and the southeastern corner of the Empire. Cool, so like a stronger new dwarf hold. Khazid Gintaz. Lying between the Black Mountains and the vaults, the small hold of Khazid Gintaz stands sentinel upon the shores of the River of Echoes, and the junction between Mondadir Pass and Winter's Teeth Pass. Winter's Teeth Pass would, of course, play a really pivotal role much later, because this is the route that Tarmakon eventually takes to get up into Sudenland, where he invades the Empire from the south. Kadak Izor. Known as Copperhold, Karak Izor is the largest dwarf hall in the vaults and a beacon of traditional dwarf culture for far-flung settlers wandering in the Arana and Apusini mountains. Kadak Bufdar. Located in the vaults upon the heavily forested slopes north of Old Dwarf Pass, Kadak Bufdar supplies timber for its neighboring holds and to the humans of the Border Princes in vast quantities. Oh god! Oh god, resist. Don't go to the Southern Realms yet. Don't go. You'll never come back. Okay, I think we got all the dwarf holds here. We got Vala Azrul Ungol, also known as Karak 8 Peaks. Known throughout the world, old world as Karak 8 Peaks, this mightiest of holds lies all but abandoned within a natural amphitheater ringed by 8 great mountains. In its heyday, 8 Peaks rivaled Karak in size and importance. Indeed. The Vrenka Hills. Yeah, I think that was already interactable because of the border print stuff. Karak Azul. The last of the great southern holds, Karak Azul is situated over the richest iron mines in the World Edge Mountains. It has withstood numerous invasions thanks to the determination of its warriors and the skill of its weaponsmiths. Karak Azgal. Known as Horde Peak, the lost hold of Karak Azgal has become a destination for the old world's boldest adventurers, drawn there by tales of its legendary wealth and the unimaginable treasures that lie forgotten in its deepest chambers. Yeah, where good old Graug the Terrible was for a while, where he got murked by a dwarf. Desolation of Nagashazar, the Broken Teeth Mountains, the Fortress of Vorag, Misty Mountain, where Grom the Paunch originally comes from. Red Cloud Mountain, where there's a big old greenskin tribe. Doom Mountain, the Cities of Dawn. I don't think they've added new stuff to Tomb King lands. All this looks pretty recognizable to me. Yeah, Crater of the Rocking Dead, Mount Arachnos, where big scary spiders come from. Also a big old goblin. There's a big forest goblin tribe in the Lost Plateau. We got the Jungle of the Gods, where there's lots of lizard men. Western jungles, where we're seeing mention of human tribes. The Zamaixen tribes and the Othiopos tribes. Those are human tribes in the Southland, which is very, very, very exciting. That's a whole new culture of humans. But there's also more lizardmen down here. Kadak Zorn is not clickable. Whoa, look at this. I don't know if this is a mistake, but look. Kadak Zorn is not a fallen hold on this map. Kadak Zorn has an anvil with 2 hammers. That means it's not fallen. According to this map, Kadak Zorn still stands. See, Golden Pass. Where would Lakotl be? Oh, I don't know. That'd be, we'll do that on the next Lakotl stream. We'll have to figure out where we're going to put Lakotl. Which, if you're not sure what Lakotl is, on Lorebeard streams, Andy and I have been creating a Lizardman temple city with the help of chat. So it's been a lot of fun. If you want to participate in that, come join the streams. And talk El Kalabad, the Kaled tribes, Shifting Sands, the Turjuk tribe, Bal Aliad, Sekhmet Needles, the Desert Raiders, Osis of 1001 Camels, Al Haik, good old Araby, Great Deserts of Araby. Man, there's a lot of, like, new tribes, which is really cool. Oh, I'm so ready for Southern Humans, dude. I'm so ready for Southern Humans. All right, chat, it's time. Look at the Southern Realms. Never have they been this detailed. Especially Astalia. Never has Astalia looked like this. This is the first time in 41 years, sorry, we're in 2025 now. This is the first time in 42 years, 42 years, nearly half a century, that Games Workshop has released an official detailed map of Astalia. Never before. So, let's dive into it. So, heading south of the lands controlled by the elves in Bretonnia, we enter...
X100. Will you and Andy have a Lorebeard stream on this?
Possibly. I think it's likely. I think... Andy... I love Andy. Andy is very judgmental of maps. He's very harsh on maps. Because he creates them himself. So... I'm not against it, but I think y'all would need to recognize that Andy would be ripping this thing more assholes than, like, a Chaos Spawn with a very unfortunate mutation. So, I'm not against it, but we'll see. Also, sorry, I missed some super chats earlier. Science said, I will be truly shocked beyond belief that the Old World 2nd Edition doesn't fully flesh out in Koresh Nippon. The Hobgoblins and, honestly, the Fishermen at this rate. They're insane not to do Total War Warhammer 4 at this rate. God, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, dude. That's a video we'll be talking about soon. We'll be talking about, like, the expansion of the Old World and stuff, because this is huge for Total War. This is very big for Total War. Thank you for the bits, Kernshima. Hammond, thank you for the super chat. Damn, 500 viewers? What? Are there 500 people watching the stream? That can't be right. That can't be right. I feel like YouTube must be purging subscribers because I've been, like, bleeding. Oh my god, there are 500 of you. Jesus Christ! Well, hello! Thank you! I appreciate it. I hope you're all having fun and enjoying this. I'm just being a fat nerd on the internet for today. Damn! Alright. Well, thank you! I appreciate the time. Please sub? Hit the like button? I don't know. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Christopher Clayton, thank you for the super chat. Dwarven holds that the Kairos Encore assumes to have fallen but never got around to checking. Grumbles and Krakakazalid. Yeah. Okay, so here... Oh my... This is so... Y'all don't understand how crazy this is. Y'all don't understand how insane this is. We have actual names for the kingdoms of Astalia. We have the names of the rulers of Astalia. This has never happened before. This has never happened before. 42 years, we have never known the names of the various kingdoms and rulers of this fucking nation. And now we do. This is so crazy. Oh my god, the old world is finally getting exciting. The old world is officially so hyped. All right, so let's see what we got here. So first we have the Kingdom of Novorino, so we have a road here that passes through the Golfo de Bidolce, and forgive me, Spanish is not my strength. Like, look at these rivers coming down from the Irana Mountains, and we've got Pahena, Azuara, Viveea, Graus, Guniar, Durango, and Serpico. So we see a lot of mountainous settlements, but we have some good forest valleys within the Irana Mountains themselves, connecting to several rivers. One of the things that's really interesting to see here is how much space that Estalia controls. Because Tabaro, I don't actually know if Tabaro I want to say Tabaro belongs to Estalia, not to Leia, but I'm not 100% sure on that off the top of my head. And then we have the ruler of Novareno, who is Novarena. Actually, I don't know if these are rulers. No, these appear just to be the names of the kingdom. So we don't know who the ruler is yet, but we do know what their symbol is. So this looks like a hound, a white-furred hound with a chain. You can see the chain going around an iron collar with a white-furred hound on a field of gold and blue. Then we have the kingdom of Bebale, which is the most fun kingdom to say. That is so fun to say. Bebale, like that is so enjoyable to say. Very fun. Very, very rich looking. They've got interesting. I wonder if they have a Bretonian influence, because they have a fleur-de-lis symbol in the top left with the sun in the top right over a golden 3-towered castle surrounded by golden laurels on a background of a black and red stripe pattern. And we see that it contains the settlement of Alquizero, Barbosa, Potis, the Ferros Hills. We have the Cantabrio Road down to the capital, presumably, of Babali itself, and the River Tormos, which flows out of the mountains. Interesting. I wonder what the Ferros Hills contains. From here, we move on to Obregon with the Pina Wood. Pina Wood. Interesting. We have the settlements of St. Louis on the coast. We got the port of St. Louis. We've also got Sahagun. Sahagun being along the road through the Cefero Hills that leads you to Diamantera. Oh, we see that white dog again. I wonder what the importance of the white wolf is to them. That is very interesting. So we have a repeating motif of some sort of white hound. But it's a hound, not a wolf. Because notice, see, Novareno's standard and the standard of Obregon both have a white hound with a chain. So they both have a collar with a silver chain coming off. So it's not a white wolf of Ulrich, obviously. But there's some sort of great white hound that's been domesticated. This is a domesticated creature. Biofoot, thank you for the super chat. Makes note, chaos spawn, but oops, all buttholes. Honestly, it would be a horrible creature to fight. Could you imagine you're fighting some horrible monster that's just covered in sphincters that are constantly like spewing out rancid filth, and they're like probably lined with teeth, and there's tentacles coming out like grabbing people and pulling them into these like horrible buttholes full with teeth and God knows what, just chewing people up. I wouldn't want to fight that thing. I'm out. I'm out. Thomas, thank you very much for the super chat. Passion attacks viewers. Oh, that's very sweet of you. Arianthal, Sotek, do you think the Cathay ship on the map will be important? Yes. Yes, I do. Because it's likely they're not going to expand the map right away to go all the way to Cathay, though we do know there is a Cathayan map. They've shown it to us. We know that this map does go all the way to Cathay, but they haven't shown it to us yet. But I think this is our tease that Cathay is coming. Obviously, we saw in the recent, like, what races are next. We know Cathay is the first new faction coming to the old world. So next is Wood Elves and Beastmen, and then after that is Grand Cathay. And I think this is our first little titillation. So what is the purpose of this dog, I wonder? Maybe like the Hound of Myrmidia or something? Or like representing the taming of the dogs of war or something? References to the arms of Castile and Leon. Oh, interesting. Okay, so yeah, this is very real world inspired. This castle. Castel and Leon. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so this is very heavily historically inspired, which is great. This is what we like to see. So we also see in the Kingdom of Obregon, which crosses over this river, splitting it in half, coming from the Irana Mountains. We also see the settlements of Muros, Verin, and what that would be Juarez, along the Gridas Road. Interesting. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this, dude. We also have the Kingdom of Avila, which Avila has a red castle with a set of what looks like laurels over the top on a black and gold field that is that's got like more of it's got that pattern, but it's like tilted, and it's got two red bulls on the side of the castle. So we see that bull imagery is obviously going to be very important bull imagery we see here in the south. So interesting. Northern Talea seems to revere this white hound, whereas southern Talea seems to revere the bull. Interesting. We've got the Miramar Hills, and then if you follow the Alboran Road, you arrive in Belmoz, San Pedro del Sur, Nerja, and Los Cabos. Fascinating. Interesting that Avila does not seem to be a settlement. So the land of Avila and Obregon don't have cities that are also contain the names of the... actually, neither does Novarena as well. So, Novareno, actually. Fast. Then we arrive at Magrida. So Magrida is supposed to be the most powerful. It's supposed to be like far and beyond. Oh, this is fascinating. Look at this. So Magrida has the Fortress of the Moon over the Bay of Quietude. But then on the other side of the bay is the Fortress of the Sun. So there's some kind of very important celestial sphere to Leia, because Cantonia also has the sun imagery. So we see there's sun imagery both for Babali and Cantonia. And then there is a Fortress of the Moon and a Fortress of the Sun. So there's going to be some sort of celestial body concept to Estalia, that's new. Once again, we don't know anything about this. So I wonder how that could tie into maybe aspects of Myrmidia. But for the settlements, we have Reyes, Sierranos, Severos, Ubrique, Tarosa, Magrida, which is obviously the capital of Estalia. Magrida is like the big dick capital of all of Estalia. And is also supposed to be like a holy site, very important to the cult of Myrmidia. We have Molena, Montanes up in the mountains. Oh, this is so fucking exciting. In the old lore, the bullshit excuse they always gave for why you didn't see a lot of Estalians settlements was because Estalia was all up in the mountains and very rarely came down. But we see that's no longer the case. Like now, Estalians are everywhere, which is fantastic. And then the Kingdom of Cantonia, which has the Sombra Wood, Zaragoz, Raganos, and their symbol is a golden bull with golden chains along the side. Notably, no collar on the bull, but we see that chain motif returning. They have a crown in the upper left corner, and then a sun, a golden sun in the upper right. And they once again have this repeating theme of black and red. Black and red seems very important to the colors of Estalia. And it's once more the tilted diagonal. Magrida having a white bull with a crown above its head, laurels to either side, and then a gold and red. So gold, red, and black seem very, very important to Estalian colors, with the exception of Novareno, who goes gold and blue. So to me, this indicates that Novareno has some kind of very unique relationship. There's something very particular about Nova Reno that they have abandoned the red color scheme and replaced it with blue. Something's going on there. We also have Golkazar, Shelvin, Sitkes, Aquilina, Porto Real, the Fool's Point Rocks, a bunch of islands. So we got the Isles of the Siren, the River Ibora, Amagora, the River Riaza, Solsona, Gualcazar. Fascinating. Fucking fascinating. And then you're able to pass through Tromato Pass, which takes you into the lands of Talea. So yeah, this is Talea, because you notice the border color changes. Estalia has purple borders. Talea has orange borders. So they've stuck with the old lore. So Tabaro, the kingdom of Tabaro is controlled by Talea. And we have the settlement of Tabaro along these mountains, which are riddled with Skaven. There's so many Skaven in Tabaro. But interestingly, they still have that red and black theme. So they have a sword in the middle of what looks like the sun, with laurels to either side, and then a red and black diagonal cross scheme. But I'm guessing the red and black is supposed to indicate Myrmidia. I'm thinking Myrmidia is supposed to be acknowledged by the red, black, and gold. Like, that represents Myrmidia, because we see it in both Talea and Estalia. Which makes me wonder much more about the Nova Reno. I wonder if the Nova Reno are heavily influenced by the elves or by the Lady of the Lake. That could be where the blue comes from. If they have some kind of notable relationship with the Lady of the Lake or the Aesir. And yeah, Tabaro also has a Talayan shield rather than a Estalian shield. But they also have the Talayan borderline. So Talea starts in Tabaro in the Abasco Mountains, which I'm glad to see the Abasco Mountains were re-added. In the original map for Estalia, they had all the mountains, but if you went to Estalia, this mountain range was completely missing. It was just empty. So I'm glad the Abasco Mountains are back. We have the Golfo di Fiore. We have the Blighted Marshes, which is, of course, where Skaven Blight is. It's nice to see this really strong island chain south of Estalia to have, like, a very big island chain. That's nice. And then, Talea. Sartosa. So we have Sartosa, the Pirates' Current. Then we have the Kingdom of Lucini. The settlement of Lucini up here. Capelli, Minatupa, Al Dente. Yeah, nice, great city. Capelli, the Sosorio Wood, the River Lupanero, Monte Castello. Monte Castello is a really, really important settlement. Some pretty cool shits happen there. We see that there's a high elf tower of Tal Shanar here. We know that there are, high elves having a notable influence here. The Lagoon of Tears. Argalis. Pavizano. Sorry, Lucini, not Lucini. My bad. So we got Lucini. And then we have Varezzo. So this is new. I don't remember Varezzo being its own kingdom. Or merchant princedom, however they're going to do it. Dude, look how sick Lucini's banner is. Lucini, sorry. Lucini's banner is a human, looks like a woman, but half her face seems to be flesh, and half her face is a skull with hair coming off, and then like the sun. So that's probably a icon to Myrmidia, but it's half flesh, half skull. That is spicy. I love that. Varezzo has a worm or a dragon of some sort that looks like that's coiling around a sword that's impaling downwards with the sun symbol behind it. Very Myrmidian coded. We have the settlements of Pugno, Raverno, Porto Maggiorne, Varezzo, Terreni. I love how messy Talea is. Kazid Urbaz. I don't think we clicked on this one earlier. Situated upon the banks of the river Skiros, the small dwarfhood of Kazid Urbaz serves as the main trade center for the dwarves of the vaults in the Appuccini Mountains. Appuccini, actually. It'd probably be Appuccini. So we got the Appuccini Mountains. We've got Pavona. So Pavona has the settlements of Schiozzi, Pavona itself, and then Astiano. Remus, I love Remus. So Remus has the skull with the laurels. Remus is very hardcore Rome coded. It is your Warhammer Fantasy Rome. So you have the fortress city of Remus itself. We have Stiani, Rifrafa, Spamonti, Olesi. And then we reach the true kings. Oh wait, no. Oh, okay. Throntio's new. Throntio, which has the Throntini Hills, Varieno along the river Remo. We got Urbino, Throntio the city, Viadaza, Scorsio, the Teto Verde wood, which leads to the Old Dwarf Pass. It's the Trontio Road because it goes through the Kingdom of Trontio. Makes sense. Ferento, Campagrotta up in the mountains, and then Maragliano, the Kings. So Maragliano has what looks like a griffin, a white griffin with the sun motif behind it on a field of half green, half red. Interesting. Which has the settlements of Rivola, Toscania, Albino, and then Maragliano itself. Though it's interesting that there's a settlement of Adolfo up in the mountains that crosses above the Blighted Marshes. So there's actually a road through the mountains that connects to Leia. So it's actually possible to get around the Blighted Marshes of the Skaven. Where's the Kepris Road? It is right... the Xandri Road... Old Silk Road. Where is it? It used to be right around here. Old Silk Road, East Trail, South Road, Mad Dog. Oh, did they get rid of it? Oh, no, there it is. The Cyprian Road. Yeah, so the Cyprian Road is all along. So you have the Pavona Road, and then it turns into the Cyprian Road. Which Kypris is supposed to be here somewhere, but GW didn't add it. So it's weird. We have the Cyprian Road without a Kypris, which is dumb. But it is what it is. Oh my god, dude. This looks so interesting! There's so much going on! There's so much cool shit! If you want to see this map for yourself, all you have to do is go to theoldworld.com, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see it right there. Yeah, Dragon Falls has been there. Dragon Falls has been here for a while. It was on the first iteration of the map because it was related to Bretonia. And then the Golfo di Maragliano. This is fantastic, dude. This is fucking fantastic. I am so excited about this. Like, the Southern Realms getting this much detail is insane to me. I really, truly believe this means that Games Workshop is going to do a Southern Realms book. And I very truly believe that if Games Workshop does a Southern Realms book, we can get a Southern Realms faction in Total War Warhammer. I genuinely think it's coming, maybe even this year. I think the Southern Realms are coming. I'm calling it now. I'm calling it now. I might be wrong. You might think I'm crazy, but I'm putting down my prediction. I think we're getting the Southern Realms for Total War Warhammer 3. Honest to God. Let's see, did I miss any other super chats? What Cathay unit do I want to model of the most, says Cole Patterson? Miao Ying. Just the dragons, I think would be fucking amazing. But also a Terracotta Sentinel would be pretty boss, I'm not gonna lie. Terracotta Sentinel would be hype as fuck. Hammond, thank you for the super chat. Surprised one city isn't called Chile Concorne. I don't know what that is. Alright, so I am super fucking hungry, and I know there's some homemade chili downstairs that I have not touched yet because I was too busy, like, orgasming over this map repeatedly. So I need to go change my underwear, and then I need to eat some food. But I think that's it for tonight. So, before you go, exciting announcement. I'm gonna be nice. I was gonna be like, oh, if we got like 10 YouTube memberships, I'll let you know what the Wednesday stream is gonna be, but I'll be nice and go ahead and tell you. Because I don't want to extort y'all. Unless it's for fun, unless it's for shits and giggles. So for shits and giggles, what this Wednesday stream? This Wednesday stream on Lorebeards, which if you don't know what Lorebeards is for some reason, I run a podcast on here where I talk Warhammer Fantasy lore, literature, and all sorts of other goodies with Andy Law, who has written a lot of Warhammer Fantasy lore, and the two of us together are truly unstoppable. But it's a super fun time. On Wednesdays, we tend to do more creative stuff and get to work with the chat and talk about all sorts of crazy things. And then on Sundays, we like delve into the history of like characters and stuff. So like this past Sunday, we covered Joseph Bugman, the dwarf master brewer himself and the greatest of the Dwarven Rangers. I'd really recommend checking that out if you haven't already. You can also find us on your favorite podcast sites, because I do upload it onto all the podcast stuff. But this Wednesday, we're doing something new. We're doing something different. We're doing something we've never done before, which is we're going to do the first episode of the Lorebeards What If series. And for the first episode of the Lorebeards What If series, we're going to ask and answer the following question. What if Lord Mazdamundi had gone ahead with the Great Purge? Which, for those that don't know, in the aftermath of defeating Vashnar the Tormentor, fairly late in the Warhammer calendar, in the 2520s, I think it was, Lord Mazdamundi basically says that the Lizardmen need to unleash a purge. But obviously, then the end times happened, and we never got the resolution to that storyline. So, join me and Andy on Wednesday, as we will be using lots and lots of lore evidence, and then, of course, just chatting among ourselves and with y'all about what might have happened if Lord Mazdamundi had actually begun the purge. So, should be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about some absolutely insane shenanigans revolving around the Slawn and the Lizardmen. So I hope it'll be fun. That'll be on Wednesday evening at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. British time. Yeah, I will be back tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow morning, for some Total War Warhammer as we continue our Gorbat Ironclaw campaign. And also tomorrow evening with some more Final Fantasy XIV, which would be fun. Yada, 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 yada. Quick super chat stuff. Scion of the Emperor, Final Fantasy tomorrow evening. Yeah. Colt Carrion, would or should Araby have its own DLC? Yes. Or would it be the only way we'd get it as part of the Southern Realms? Also, possibly yes. I think both could work. I don't know which would be best, but I think both could work. But it's just we'll just have to see. Read your what? Read your what? Yeah, I did read yours. Oh, no. I thought I read yours and I didn't. So, Lord Zimnus, thank you for the super chat. Sotek, buttholes full of teeth, Slanesh to his handmaidens. Write that down. Please, no. Please, no. Slanesh watches the movie Teeth and is like, oh, I'm inspired. Anyway, this was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. If you're looking for something to do on YouTube, I can't raid into him because he's a doofus and hasn't enabled it. But Turin is streaming a tournament right now, so I will actually post the link in chat. I don't know where it is. Wait, he can't be done already. Is he done? Am I having a stroke? I thought he was streaming tonight. Maybe I'm having a stroke. Okay, cool. I'm insane apparently. So I'll send y'all off somewhere weird. It's not going to be Warhammer related. It's going to be somewhere weird. Best of luck. If you like it, great. If you don't, then just leave. But like, be polite. I'm going to send y'all somewhere really odd. Very strange. You've never been there before. In any event, hope you all have a lovely day. I'm going to do the same thing to you, Twitch. I'll send y'all to some of my friends. So it's strange. And you're going to be like, ah! And if you don't like it, then you can leave. And if you're like, well, I guess I'm here now, then, that's cool too. But anyway, hope you all have a lovely day. And I will see you guys later. Am I admitting my friends are weird? A little bit. But I'm also weird, so, you know, it works out. Anyway, get out of here.